Look at that. We're back. Happy Monday, everybody. What's up? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and you guys know the deal. Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. What's going on? I got to start off with the shout out to Holly. She says, Happy Monday. And Holly, it's good to see you here. Much love. I don't know if you and Cuff You have met yet. I don't know. I got Holly, Kel, and Cuff You as the latest mod. So y'all get together. We're all gonna have a get together soon in Las Vegas, and I cannot wait. All right, thank you, Holly. Choo choo for getting us started off. What's up, Kel? Good to see you, my friend. Since I texted you, my girl. Mwah. I am going to. Did you see Lay's talk, David? It was cool to hear her speaking that language. We're gonna have to talk about that because we might be getting back to that case tomorrow. But I wanted to thank you, Synth, for the box, for the package, for the stuff, for the things. All of the guilties are so happy, and I did text you. All right, and I'm back. What's up, twin mommy? You have a court hearing and trial for your kids to come home. All right, prayers, mad prayers for you that your kids come home, and I don't see why they shouldn't. All right, let me do this. Let's go trigger warning. We've got a hefty day today. All right, at Midnight Lace, how are you doing, Allie? Oh, you're here in the beginning, and you know this is not a brag. This is me having 1,000,001 things to do per day, and if I don't get some energy, I'm not gonna do any of it. So good to see you guys. I just ran, I had to get a haircut. Now I'm gonna have to dye my hair because Crime Con's coming up. Guys, it's all tough being a woman. When people ask those weird questions and they come on here and say, what's your gender? I'll tell them I bleed, I wear bras, and I have all the female emotions. All right. So there you go. That'll answer those mother truckers. Happy, what's up, everyone? I'm just waiting for y'all to come in before we get started. I don't want to start and then people come back. What's up, Felicia? Good to see you. I'm not teasing anyone. I'm excited AF. I do nothing for long periods of time and then I go on a trip and I get so excited. So yeah, another weekend in the rearview mirror. Sadie's mama, we wish you could too. And prayers. We all pray for you, twin mommy, aka Melissa. Everybody's children should be with them, the ones that want their children. All right. We see this all the time, and just so many bad parents have children that take advantage of that. Aw, it does. It absolutely, Melissa. I've been there throughout your journey and I've talked to you and I know how you feel. All right. Cuff You, good to see you. The faithful servant says that was me. All right, guys. Good to see all y'all. Marianne, how are you? Happy Monday. KH Crime Lab. Kathy has rebranded her channel. So there you go. Drop the link if you can for Kathy. It's not, instead of True Crime Files, it's K&H Crime Lab. All right. Good to see y'all. Allie, you feel like you're teasing me with the Red Bull, but it's okay. My love. No. I just got to get through the day, my friend. That's it. That's all. I got 1,000,001 things to do a day. What's up, Kim Wells? How you doing? Good to see you. My girl Tips here. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're feeling okay. Always a pleasure, all y'all. Clementine comes out of the bushes for a moment. I'd go, but y'all can't handle my version of Vegas. I'm going to say no comment on that one, and happy Monday to Victoria. All right, guys, let's get into this. We've got quite an episode today. And guys, you know, just because I don't do true crime on the weekends doesn't mean I don't pay attention to what's going on, what people are saying, what's happening, what's the deal, what's the YouTube streets look like. So first of all, I want to say Nancy Guthrie case. All right, let's say a prayer that she is brought home. I no longer think that she's alive, but we can bring her body home for the family. All right. Today we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case straight up. No clickbait, guys. Fake ransom trial set. All right. Straight up. And when I talk about the fake ransom that's set, the trial that's set to go, guys, we're talking about Derek Kella. But then I can keep tying all these people back So you'll see what I'm talking about. We're talking about trial set for the ransom. We're talking about Chris Nanos botching the shit out of his questions and being called a liar even further. He messed up so far beyond anything that y'all can even imagine. Of course, I've got this guy on my radar to talk about, and these guys on my radar, and the actual pictures. We got a full episode, guys. We're gonna talk about the blood spatter, which exposes a whole lot more, and Nanos fails again. Right? Not only does he fail again, guys, he's getting a boot from what I hear for that reality TV series that he was so happy to do. Right? I mean, he's done a lot of messed up stuff, and it wasn't just his resume. Nanos botched things, and he also got rid of people and lowered them so he could be in the front of the reality show. This guy he's messed up the case, right? The first 24 to 48 hours, he messed up the case, and we're stuck with it, right? We're stuck with it. We're on what, day 86, and nothing's happened. I know, I've been watching stuff. I watch all these different things, and I see the different people and the different comparisons, etc., etc. But what I'm doing right now is sticking to fake ransom trials being set, the blood splatter, what that means, and Nanos failing again. So at the top of the hour, let's just get this out of the way with Nanos. We knew it was coming. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Let me put a picture of him up just so I can tell you a little bit about him, and how bad he botched it. In case you guys might not even know. You guys might be thinking, oh, it's just, it's a formality and they're gonna whatever, XYZ. I don't think so. He really messed up. He lied, and he did really shady things, not only to keep his job, but to get on this reality TV thing. All right. You've been banned from 3 casinos because of your inside gaming. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's go win. Don't get between Nanos. Oh, it's already getting there, my friend. What's up, Danielle? Good to see you. All right, guys, you guys know the drill. We have a quote. We have a goal for today. It's up there. Let's hit that. If we hit that, I'll give something away. Don't know what yet, but we will. And also, we just got a whole show. So it's Monday. Mondays are always kind of weird. They're weird slow. All right, first let's just start with him. And thank you, Flojo. Hoping this works. This does go towards the goal, so thank you, Flojo. I know you're on other levels with this and the David case. I'm so excited to get into the next parts of the David case. There's so much out there, and other cases that we've been wanting to get to. So welcome, come on in, relax. Just think this case had not broke as it did when Nanos ever been busted. Number one, probably not until later or after his retirement. Number two, had he not been in that predicament, we might have at least been able to have a decent lead. But I got to tell you something. I got to give you guys a little bit of hope here. There's a little bit of hope here, okay? Just because he's incompetent and he made the wrong decisions, he's not making those decisions anymore, okay? And there is stuff going behind the scenes with the FBI right now that we don't know about. So we're going to go back and talk about this, because I think some of you guys forget that there were so many people that were detained. There were people detained and let go of. I don't want you guys to forget this. All right, let's just do this. Before I even put him up, let me put this back up for a second, all right? You still haven't watched Friday's live? Well, you better get on it. It's a good one. I wouldn't let a goal go by. So I had to, it's already been bought. We start. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And welcome, Kathy, KHC Crime Lab. Okay, let me just start with this before we get into Nanos or anything. Listen, guys, this is where we've been. I believe we're on day 86. If I'm wrong, let me know. Now, as of mid-February 2026, guys, remember and think about this. There have been multiple connections about the men in the pictures, the men that we think they are the band members, and Annie and Tommaso. So we're still going in circles because the clown Sheriff Nanos tells us that they're clear. We now know that they're clearly not clear. So as of February 26th, guys, while multiple reports indicated, did you guys even realize that 3 to 4 people have already been temporarily detained and questioned following the major law enforcement operation that Pima County started? That nobody was in custody, is still in custody or arrested. However, there is a bigger connection to these people. They have evidence that they've gathered. They've had electronics that they've gone through. They've had cars that they've taken apart. The investigation was initially focusing on a silver gray Range Rover that was towed from Tucson, Culver's parking lot. And I hear a lot of people talking about that now, but I want you to remember there were at least 4 people separate that were detained, guys, and questioned and let go. And they didn't even know why. When they came on the interviews, they were like, what? Huh? I don't know. Just because I'm Mexican and I have a mustache. Guys, that is not why that is absolutely not why these people were detained. So let me catch you up to why and what. Okay, because this is ridiculous. This is more plausible to see the connections and the people that have been detained than anything else. The only people that haven't been detained is Annie and Tommaso, and they were cleared, but their car was gone for weeks, taking it apart. However, when you look at this ring of people, you've got Derek Kella right there. Guys, he's going to trial. I'm going to show you the charging documents. It's coming, and it is related to the Nancy Guthrie case. All right. Yeah. And they do talk about all kinds of satanic shit today. So please, trigger warning, because today it's going to be a doozy. There's a lot of stuff going on in this case, right? So listen, guys, the initial detentions were February 13th and 14th. That report indicated at least 3 or 4 individuals were detained, including a mother and son in the Tucson residence search, and another man during a traffic stop, which is the most dangerous ever. If you're going to stop somebody during a traffic stop, it's always going to be a possibility, and more of a possibility, that they're going to run. You might hurt somebody else, kill someone else, or yourself. Now, we've got all these people that you're looking at on the screen all stacked up, and nothing's happening. They don't even know why they get arrested, allegedly. But the individuals were released after questioning, and you saw people like Luke and some of the others going on TV right away saying, I didn't do it. Now, these connections to the people were not immediately linked to each other in any official statement capacity, although some were found at the same location. One man was identified in reports as Carlos Palazuelas, and that was his home in Rio Rico that was searched. Now, they also had an individual white van. That was a 4th individual that reportedly, in connection with the white van, mentioned some reports suggesting self-inflicted injury. Now, we're talking about a silver gray Range Rover. You guys know that. Searched and towed, and it was suspected of being used in the case and given back. So we got a silver gray Range Rover, a white van, and then we've got the official owner of these vehicles. They haven't been publicly released by Pima County, although they were seized for the investigation. Okay, so I want you guys to not forget about any of these people that are connected, because we are going to get into that as soon as we get past this shit show, Chris Nanos, okay? And the reason that we're in this predicament, in my opinion, and many others, is because of Nanos. All right? Now, Chris Nanos did a shitty job. The Pima County Board of Supervisors formally required Nanos to answer questions under the Arizona law. Guys, he can't even get that right, okay? They asked him about his past disciplinary history in El Paso, accuracy of his employment records, date, suspension, reason for leaving, whether he misrepresented his background on applications and sworn statements, and his handling of internal disciplinary cases. Now, listen, guys, his management decisions and cooperation are all on the table. And he answers this in a 13-page letter through his attorney with several mistakes, defensiveness, dismiss, or incomplete. He calls his past employment history irrelevant. And he argues that whatever he did before he was elected should not be in the board's review. Guys, there are so many things. I'm just going to get started off with the clip because I got to tell you, this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why he's even still sitting in that office, but let me make sure I got the date. Okay. So we're going to start with this one and then we'll move to that one and you guys will know. I mean, he's probably going to get bopped out of there. They're probably going to knock him out of there soon without a vote. Check this out. All right. So first, number one topic right now, we're talking about this entire case, where we are, the connections we've had, and Nanos about to be on his ass.
About how Sheriff Chris Nanos operates got some answers today.
Yeah, as KG9's Craig Smith reports, the sheriff's lawyers sent a 24-page letter. Now it's up to supervisors to read the response and make a response of their own.
Now, the original letter was 13 pages. All right. No, he just said it. In the response, they gave 13 pages, and that's how many he gave back. All right, we'll get into it, but y'all have your conversations.
Pima supervisors used a law that dates to when Arizona was a federal territory, not even a state. It allows county supervisors to require other county elected officials to report on any questions the supervisors want answered. In this case, they had questions about whether Nanos lied about his record with El Paso police when he applied to begin his career with the Pima Sheriff's Department. He did not disclose that he had been suspended several times in El Paso. The letter from Nanos' attorney says Nanos did not hide his record and still passed the vetting Arizona requires for a law enforcement officer. He says when he denied the suspension as part of a lawsuit deposition, he thought he was being asked about his Arizona history, which has no suspensions. Supervisors want to know.
Guys, not only is this guy a liar and a violent person that does whatever he can to get to the top, but he just doesn't give a shit about this. I'm not even, this is just telling you what they asked him. It's laughable. If I was drinking my drink right now and I listen to this next clip, or you listen to me, I'll probably spit out my drink. That's how bad he did. All right. I don't even know how we got here with this guy. All right. Nanette, thank you so much for the $1.99 towards our goal.
More about Nanos suspending Lieutenant Heather Lappin while she was running against him in the last sheriff's election. He claimed Lappin violated department policy in several different ways. The letter says Lappin's suspension was approved by a panel that included sheriff's command staff, members of a citizens review board, employee association members, and an attorney from the Pima County Attorney's Office. They all approved the suspension according to that letter. The sheriff says Lappin appealed through a grievance and lost. Supervisors also want to know whether deputies cooperated with federal immigration officials like Border Patrol. That's a violation of county policy. The question is based in part on an allegation that deputies detained immigrants and handed them to Border Patrol. Nanos' letter does not specifically address that claim, but says deputies do not cooperate with immigration officials by holding suspects for immigration.
I mean, guys, I'm just telling you what kind of questions. When you hear what a joke his response was, you're going to say, why did they even have him one more day? Why? What's up, Mabster? Good to see you, buddy. All right. Yeah, I just wait till we get to this next part. Again, this is just telling you guys how much everything's botched. The core of my episode today is going to talk about the blood spatter, what that means, and the fake ransom note that's going to trial. Nobody has taken any kind of deals, and I have the paperwork to show you. However, I also want to read some of the comments from it because here's the thing. People do, and I do, people absolutely think that Derek Kella, the guy that's right there, the big face, that's the guy going to trial, the biggest one connected to Annie and Tommaso, they absolutely believe that was no coincidence. And the only reason that law enforcement intercepted those text messages was because he shouldn't have texted Annie and Tommaso. It should have been a in-person meeting. It should have been a note they slipped. He effed up. He got impatient. And you got to remember there was a 9-second phone call. We'll talk about that as well. All right. But that's going to be the core of it. But we also need to get Nanos out of there like yesterday. All right. Just like you said. All right. Let's get this Nanos out of the way.
Violations. But if the department receives public safety calls that involve immigration, it may refer the call to ICE or Border Patrol. Supervisors also questioned Nanos exceeding his county budget. The letter claims over 5 budget years, Nanos spent less than his full budget 3 times, but overspent in 1 year when supervisors gave corrections officers a raise after approving his budget, and another year when supervisors reduced his budget. Because supervisors received the letter late in their Tuesday meeting, they will consider it in their next meeting in May.
I mean, listen, he had a bunch of things that were going wrong that probably wouldn't have been exposed if this wouldn't have happened. All right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to put up this next one just to tell you how bad it is. And again, there's some things here that, like, if you're drinking and if you have the same kind of sense of humor that I have, don't spit out what you're drinking, okay? Because hit that like button. We have 153 people on a Monday. Hit that like button. Now listen, guys, he's such a joke that I'm going to just give you the overview real quick where he failed to meet what authorities asked for, okay? So they sent him, authorities received his response on a 13-page letter through the attorney. Now, I guess the original was 22 pages and he came back with 13. I think that's what Synth is saying. They don't mention that here. So listen, where Nanos failed to meet the authorities, officials publicly stated that his response did not satisfy any of the requirements. The failure to fully address his discrepancies. Record shows he was suspended, including a 15-day suspension for nearly beating a handcuffed suspect to death. But he previously testified under oath that he never had been suspended. All right. Authorities said his answers didn't reconcile this contradiction. Number 2, he failed to provide the complete or transparent explanations. The board members said his responses were not thorough and some questions were just completely sidestepped better than answered, right? Like those, all those things that we keep seeing, the press conferences where he says, yes, and them, yeah, we're doing that, yeah, and then he just word salad. That's what he did. All right. Number 3, he failed to meet the expectations of cooperation. Officials say that he has a history of refusing. Listen, guys, listen to this, okay? He has a refusal ever of not working with the FBI. Did he say that to you? Did he say that to me? No, but we're talking about the paperwork and the history and the people that know him. Listen again. Chris Nanos officially stated that he has a history of refusing to fully work with the FBI, which they say is part of a broader pattern of non-cooperation. So imagine he had worked with the FBI in the beginning, the first 24 to 48 hours. Do you think we'd be in a different predicament? Probably. Number 4, take past responsibility for past conduct. Nope, his attorney argued that his past conduct was irrelevant and that supervisors said law specifically allows them to review an elected official's background and truthness. Number 5, he failed to satisfy the standard for truthfulness. So he just lied all over the form. Supervisor of him, Matt Hines, said he was not satisfied with any of the answers, and he accused Nanos of making really bad decisions and lying about his past. Bottom line, Sheriff Nanos did not respond, but his answers were defensive. He did not resolve any of the contradictions, and he did not meet the level of transparency that the board required. Officials say this is under scrutiny, and potential consequences will be no vote. Just get his ass out. All right, let's go.
And the back and forth between the Pima County Supervisors and Sheriff Chris Nanos. New questions after the lawyer representing the sheriff responded to a list of questions posed by the supervisors 2 weeks ago. Now, one supervisor says the sheriff's job could be on the line. News for Tucson's Andrew Capasso reports from downtown with more on where things stand right now.
This is that response from the lawyer representing Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos to the Board of Supervisors. In this, answers to questions on a range of topics like budget management, the sheriff's resume, and working with federal law enforcement leaders. The 23-page response addresses the questions point by point. The sheriff's lawyer using phrases like "not so" several times, also saying claims of wrongdoing, quote, lack a basis in fact. The supervisors sending the list in line with Arizona Revised Statute 11253. The first line of that 3-sentence statute says, quote, the board may require any county officer to make reports under oath on any matter connected with the duties of his office and may require the officer to give such bonds or further bonds as may be necessary for the faithful performance of his respective duties. Supervisor Matt Hines, the one who put this before the board, says not only does he have a problem with the responses here,
I think the answers are incredibly problematic.
He also says they aren't under oath.
The whole point of this was to get sworn testimony from the sheriff to clear this up, to answer these questions for the people, for the county. They deserve these responses.
And he didn't.
It looks to me at this point, he's not willing to sign his name to it.
The lawyer for the sheriff telling me the answers here are all true. And if supervisors want something saying that, he'll gladly send it. Sheriff Nanos turning down a request from me for an on-camera interview. But in a statement, the department says, quote, the Board of Supervisors posted the sheriff's responses online. The board has not taken action yet, and it would be inappropriate at this point. So the big question now is what happens next? Well, the Board of Supervisors is set to meet again on May 12th. That's when they once again, behind closed doors in executive session, will review these answers, see where things stand, and then decide what action to take next. In the past, they have said if the answers aren't satisfactory, it could include a vote of no confidence or start the process to remove the sheriff.
Don't you think, doesn't anybody and everybody think that they need to do this now? What is going on? I mean, we're literally hearing that he's a liar, a cheater, a scammer. He fires people because he wants to be ahead of them, but we're still sitting there with him in the office. I mean, and it even goes further. And thank you so much, Foxy, for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received a membership in honor of her brother, Christopher, that they lost way too soon. Please thank Foxy. I can't comprehend this. I mean, even it goes as far as I didn't even realize that the guy that we just saw, Matt Hines, went on to News Nation to tell everybody that Sheriff Nanos is just a bad cop. I mean, Christopher Nanos is not only a liar, they say, but he has the world's worst attorney. I'm going to put this up there so we're not dragging this, and then we'll get into Derek Kella and all the other things. But I do think it's very important that we talk about Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos and him being a bad cop. What does that mean? And what does that mean for this case, guys? What does that mean for this case? Nobody's taking responsibility at this point. Thank you. Thank you. What's up, ND-ish? I'm good to see you. Yeah, idiot is what I got. So we're looking here, and this guy, Matt Hines, is going on News Nation and saying this guy's a liar and his testimony wasn't correct. Right? He had a sworn testimony in his submitted statements. He failed to follow the statute, which requires a sworn testimony. His attorney should be able to read and interpret the Arizona statute, which would be the top law enforcement official in the county should be able to as well. But instead, his unsworn statements are just riddled with lies, you guys. Now, they're saying there's both lies from Nanos and his attorney. Even his attorney's lying to them and didn't swear it under oath. Nanos stated he had resigned, accepting a 3-day suspension. But when records were obtained, they talked about Stephanie Murray with Arizona Republic from El Paso reveals he resigned in lieu of termination. Okay. And that was recommended by 5-member panel. All right. He also was found guilty of violating the Hatch Act. They say this is false. There's been no legal judgment, nor despite the discipline issued for violating the Hatch Act. And we're confident in federal. I don't even know what that is at this point. You guys can tell me in chat. He violated the Hatch Act. They go on to just say that I think it's here it is. It's the constitutional right to free speech by halting his protest and repeatedly violating the peace officer's Bill of Rights. Okay, so he violated that. He also had his attorney assert that he did not lie about his disciplinary history because he was speaking in context of Arizona. False again, per his attorneys provided exhibits, conversations, and everything regarding the Arizona, what occurred after the discussion, right? And they go on to tell you about the pages, etc. Actually, I'm going to show you this real quick. Hold on. We're not going to read the whole thing because he really doesn't deserve that much attention, but I also want you to know that this is the stuff that he's violating, okay? And then the paperwork. We're not going to read it. I'll just show you. He also cross admitted to the litany of wrongdoing, requested a letter of reprimand, false. I mean, he just did all wrong. He admitted to discipline for his driving history, which only occurred in Paso. So clearly he was aware of the context of the conversation, right? Silver lining for Chris Nanos, since he and his idiot attorney didn't provide sworn testimony, or at least he didn't technically lie under oath. All right, correction, I was incorrect. Recently learned that the sheriff did not receive discipline for his driving. He was simply investigated in El Paso for his poor driving, but did not receive discipline. He did receive a letter of counseling for an accident that occurred. However, his assertion in the deposition is still factually, you guessed it, inaccurate. All right. So again, I'm not going to go into all these. I just kind of wanted you to see what was going on here, what he had to do, and what he miserably failed at. All right. You can see in here. Let me see if I can zoom in here. I'm sure I can. You can right from the top. These are the questions they're asking him, and the circumstance of his, departure from El Paso. Sheriff Nanos resigned, and then the supervisor wanted to impose a 3-day suspension for insubordination, right? I mean, it's just what we talked about. There's 23 pages here, and they say all of them were either false or lies, and none of them were under oath. And you can see the depositions there with the cross names and all the different things going on. Again, I'm not going to read all of this. I can certainly share the link, right? But he doesn't deserve that much attention. He just needs to be kicked to the curb as far as I'm concerned. All right, so let's get to this, and let me pull this down. How you guys doing today? Good to see you. Anybody got anything new? He's definitely gaslighting the whole everybody. How's everyone doing today? It's Monday. You guys awake, alive? What's the deal? All right, well, let's see what a bad sheriff he is and how he botched this, and then we will move on next to Derek Kella is going to trial for that kidnapping ransom. You can't do that.
Presented his work history on his resume while he was at the El Paso Police Department before he joined Pima counties. The board demanded Nanos disclose all circumstances about his departure from the El Paso department and to clarify the dates of his employment as well as any prior disciplinary actions. Nanos' attorney responded yesterday with a 22-page document. It reads in part that whatever the sheriff did or did not do before being elected is necessarily unrelated to his performance of his duties in office. Whether others agree remains to be seen. The board will review the sheriff's answers in an executive session in a few weeks. For more, we're joined by Dr. Matthew Hines, Vice Chair for the Pima County Board of Supervisors. Matthew, it's great to have you. Did he refuse to answer the questions about—
Now, listen, we're going to get the most information here, and it's only a couple minutes, but I really want you to see. It's an embarrassment when someone like this says that Sheriff Nanos, the guy that's heading this investigation, one of the biggest investigations that we've ever seen, and telling us that he's a bad cop and they want him out. Okay. Thank you, Kim Wells. I do appreciate that. I hate covering just one topic. It's got to be, we got to get to all of it, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff, not just one thing. So let's listen to him call Nanos just a bad cop.
About disciplinary action that was taken against him at the El Paso Police Department?
It certainly seems pretty problematic to me. I mean, I've reviewed his responses with my team, with some other lawyers as well, and I'm certainly not satisfied with these responses. And what he did in El Paso, I mean, one of the things he was suspended for, totally, I mean, 37 days of suspension in El Paso, 15 of those days occurred after he beat almost to death a handcuffed robbery suspect who was in the back of a squad car with a flashlight. He's a bad cop. He made really bad decisions and then lied about his past to convince then Pima County officials to hire him back in 1984. He also lied about that gap in time. He used to say 1982, so that got changed. But the point here is this man, we shouldn't even know his name. We should not know the name Nanos. He has perpetrated a fraud for 4 decades upon my community, and it is, frankly, it's shameful and insulting to the 1,500 men and women of that amazing law enforcement agency that he had.
I mean, who in chat that's awake? Put a 1 in chat if you think that he should just resign. I mean, at this point, I would just be disappointed and embarrassed in myself. I'd be disappointed at myself, and I'd be so embarrassed that I would resign and let somebody that's capable, anybody other than him that's capable. Thank you. I just want to make sure y'all are awake, because this is like, I mean, this is just, it just doesn't make sense. If this were my mom and he did this to my mom's investigation, guys, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know if I'd sue him or be out for blood in another way. And I don't mean anything bad. Like, I wouldn't do anything illegal, but damn, can you imagine your mom, that happening with your mom, and this egotistical lying piece of crap doing this?
Currently, every day he walks in the door.
That story of beating.
She couldn't even say anything. That was funny, though. That was funny. She straight up could. Yeah, that. What's up, CB? How you doing? Risa, you're gonna watch tonight about what I told you. You're gonna watch tonight about what I told you. I don't know what you told me or who you're talking to, but sure.
Suspect who was handcuffed with a flashlight until, you say, beat him nearly to death. Were there charges filed? I mean, that would certainly seem to call for some criminal charges.
I don't look. The El Paso Police Department was sued over this matter, and eventually that was one of the things that led the El Paso Police Department to force him to resign in lieu of termination. That gentleman was put in the ICU for days. And
guys, I gotta tell you, that guy was put in ICU for days. He beat the shit out of somebody that was in handcuffs. Can you imagine what he's doing right now? Okay, but we don't want people to hop off. That's the problem. Risa, we love it, and we're going to get to that. So let's just wait up a second, all right? I saw that, and we will do it, just not here. All right, let's continue. We're going to get into all of it, and thank you. I will even play it after. Man, I'd be pissed.
There were multiple news stories about that at the time when it happened.
What do you make? I mean, he is saying, look, whatever I did or didn't do decades ago has nothing to do with how I'm leading the Guthrie investigation and how I'm currently serving as sheriff of Pima County. You clearly don't buy that.
Not at all. Look, these actions are incredibly significant. The fact that he came to Pima County and the first official act that he did here was to lie about his history, and that's how he got peace officer certification. Nobody can be serving in law enforcement at any level in the state of Arizona unless they get peace officer certification, and he could not have possibly revealed that history to the board at the time that this happened, that he got a job. And that means he perpetrated a fraud for decades upon the people of my community.
And how do you think he has handled the Nancy Guthrie investigation? As you know, there's been a lot of questions about how he handled the crime scene, how he handled the DNA evidence. What is your assessment?
So I'm a physician and a supervisor on the board. I am not in law enforcement, but I will say relationships in these kinds of situations matter and time matters. And I say that because it is pretty clear that his past run-ins with the Federal Bureau of Investigation back in 2015, when he was almost indicted for RICO charges at the time, which they did not end up going.
I didn't even know he was almost indicted for RICO charges, and I'll be happy to play that in a bit. Here's the problem with the interview room. Well, first of all, they're streaming live, so I don't want everyone to go take off. I promise you guys I'll address it. All right. We're already talking about the theories that law enforcement's afraid to talk about. Literally. All right. We already think there's two suspects. We already know there was a backdoor entry, and we're already talking about theories that FBI won't address. So if you guys hang in here with me, I promise you I'll get you more of that. Whatever it is you want, just stay here. Okay, now here's the reason why he doesn't like working with FBI is because of his disciplinary actions. And now we know why he was avoiding FBI in this case. He avoided FBI for days, guys, for days. All right. Jay sent to jail. All right, Jay, I agree, but he didn't do it under oath. So he can't actually be the whole thing was you were supposed to do the response under oath, and he did none of it under oath. All right. I got you, Risa. I got you. You're trying to say Jay, but you're saying jail. All right, we're about done with this part. This is an embarrassment, and I hope he quits.
Forward with, he has held a grudge against the FBI and refused to fully work with them going forward. And I think we see examples of the results of that with regard to the most recent high-profile investigation.
And perhaps maybe jeopardized elements of that, do you think? Yes or no?
Very possible.
Elements of everything. We're going to hop into the next one that's a trial. What did he do about that? I'm telling you guys, there's a connection there, in my opinion.
Matthew Hines, keep us posted.
All right, we'll keep him posted. Let's talk about now I'm seeing people say, oh, now the Uber driver's a suspect. If so, send it over. Right. But for right now, this was 3 days ago. Nancy Guthrie update sees trial date set for the man charged over the ransom note. Now, let me refresh your memory just real quick who the ransom note person is. It's this guy on it's not Luke or him. It's Derek Kella. It's the guy with the biggest face there and the funny hair, which we're going to show in a bit. That's Derek Kella. He's going on trial, and I'm going to tell you for what. All right. Your video on my channel. All right. I'm going to, not only that, you'll see. All right, let's add this back in. Check this out. All right. So you guys already know the deal. New development in the case. One person is set to be charged in connection to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Okay. He is, and I'll show you the paperwork on it too, with the criminal complaint. Nancy, 84-year-old mother of the Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has been missing since February 1st. When her family reported her disappearance to authorities after she failed to show up for a church service, she was last seen the night before after being dropped off back at the Tucson, Arizona home, they say by her son-in-law, and after a dinner and a night of games at her daughter Annie's house. Now, the case seemingly stalled in the months with no leads on either who was responsible for the abduction or her whereabouts. Now, following an alarming statement by a former FBI agent who claims that those behind her disappearance never cared if she survived the attack. And I'm going to have to agree with you when we start talking about the blood spatter. One person has been arrested and charged in relation to her case. All right. And the ransom note, none of this pertains to it. Ransom notes have been a major part of this investigation, with several being sent to TMZ. And then after Nancy went missing in the time since, where a payment of 1 Bitcoin was demanded in relation to the information about this case. However, authorities determined that all of the notes were fakes. And as such, one man from California is facing charge for those demands. Okay, they did not say it was fake either. Nothing about this has said that it was fake, except for in the news. We'll check the charging documents in just a second. All right, Tucson-based ABC affiliate station on a new trial date has been set for the man identified as 42-year-old Derek Kella of Hawthorne, California. He is charged with transmitting a demand for ransom interstate commerce and without disclosing his identity and utilizing a telecommunication device with intent to abuse, threaten, or harass a person. He is not being charged in connection to the notes sent to TMZ, but instead the ones that he sent directly to the Guthrie family. And remember, he made a 9-second call as well. Now, the grand jury indictment describes how he sent 2 text messages to 2 members of the family on February 4th. That was Annie and Tommaso, where he asked, "Did you get the 12 Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for our transaction." All right. I don't remember ever seeing the 12 Bitcoin. I thought it said we're getting sick of waiting, but they're quoting it as this. All right. Investigators now say he was also acting as an imposter. While an arrest and charges are potential good news in this case, it also serves as another blow because we don't know where Nancy is and her remains are still missing. All right. So it throws a wrench in Savannah's admission that she felt these notes had been real. Prior to her return at Today's Show, Savannah sat down with Hoda. We saw that there are a lot of different notes she says, I think came, and I think most of them are not real in my understanding. I didn't see them, but a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves. All right. She says, I believe the 2 notes that we responded to, I tend to believe those were real. It's not clear if the notes she's referring to are the same ones that were allegedly sent by Kella. All right, I want you guys to understand that because I want you to not think that Kella or any of these people are off the hook. They're all still connected. We're all about to talk about the Satanic Club and all the shit that they like to do for fun. A fetish ball connection. I mean, whatever you guys want to talk about, these people are the people to talk about, and one is going on trial for it. Now, let me pull this down and show you the charging documents so you know they're serious. Serious as a heart attack, my friends. All right. So first, let me show you the complaint real quick. This is the criminal complaint. I may have showed this to you in the beginning, but I didn't have the PDF. So United States versus Derek Kella, date of birth, 1983. Right, we don't care about the case number. We do know what the counts are. Count 1, Kella with the intent to transmit a demand for ransom, did transmit in interstate or foreign commerce any communication containing any demand or request, ransom, or reward for a release of a kidnapped person. That's count 1. Now count 2, and these are both February 4th, 2026. The defendant, Derek Kella, in interstate or foreign communications, made a phone call and utilized a telecommunication device, whether or not it was a conversation or communications, without disclosing his identity, with intent to abuse, threaten, or harass. Now, I tried to make a phone call to see how long it would take, and I did it like 3 separate times, and 9 seconds is almost just enough to dial the number for it to ring once and someone say, meet me here, or to dial the number, let it ring once and it go to voicemail. 9 seconds is not that long. All right. So I want you guys to understand that he also sent text messages and he called them. All right. So I never saw the criminal complaint. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because as we know that he's going to trial and it's set for this. I wonder what else is going to come back, right? So they're just talking about the disappearance. They're talking about when she disappeared, and they're putting that in there. They talk about the blood found on the outside and the kidnappers to contact them on another number, all right? And then they go into the counts and they talk about it shortly on February 4th, shortly after the video was published. Annie and Tommaso, you see that? AC and TC, the daughter and son-in-law of Nancy Guthrie, They both separately received the text messages from the following number, Derek Kalella's, stating, "Did you get the Bitcoin? We're sick of waiting on our end for the transaction." Annie and Tommaso received the text while in Arizona. Law enforcement was able to determine through an open source method that the 0552 number was associated with a VoIP or voice over internet protocol, and allowed them to obtain another phone number for their mobile device separate. By their wireless carrier, law enforcement submitted an emergency disclosure, and based on the records, 0552 was registered to the following email address that's connected to Kella. Right? They also go into the IP address, and they've blocked that out. His IP address now and his email address are connected to that burner phone or what have you. And they determined that it's Kalella's residence in California. Now, after the Miranda warnings, Kella admitted to sending the messages. He admitted to using VoIP and from 1 to 2 actual text messages. Kella stated he pulled family information from a cyber website that he had been following, watching TV, etc., etc. Also, Kella called a family member of Nancy Guthrie, which lasted 9 seconds. After the 2 text messages. 2 text messages have not been yet linked to the February 2nd ransom demand, and they've blocked out all of this. All right, so that is not a nothing burger at this point. That is not a nothing burger when you have these connections, these people being detained, some being let go, some not. Then we start looking at this guy and we're like, damn, does that look close? But then you look at them, and also those guys can look close too, because Zach is this same guy here, right? But then you look here and you see all the dang connections. And then we go back to Derek Kella, who's connected to Annie and Tommaso and to all of the other people that, well, let's show you. Let's get into the Facebook quickly of Derek Kella. He's got 3.5 thousand followers. I guess he put it back up. That's him. All right. That may be him back in the days, but shut up and play something evil. This is the digital creator, and he's the secret mutilator. All right. So you can go on here. December 27th. It looked like he might have gotten rid of other posts. His social media was wiped for a while. I couldn't find it, but Liberty wasted on you, unwanted advice. And then he goes into different band, pictures, etc. Right? Nothing's going to talk about Nancy here. It's just his band and the connection. Sorry, I'm late. The connection to Secret Mutilator. Right? So if you've been watching any of MAB stuff, you'll probably hear a lot about Derek Kella and that whole Secret Mutilator thing. Now, Derek Kalella's catch-22 and trying to double dip theory is a very good one, and it could rightfully be played in court. So we're going to get started with that, and then we'll talk about the blood spatter, etc., etc. I know you guys are dying to see Monks and Treve, so let's do that.
Black shirt had hair on it, and if the person said that if I were to even mention a cat, that the only proper etiquette after is to show you the cat. And this is a cat.
Okay, we love your cat, but we're talking about Derek Kella only today.
And I hope you're happy.
Okay, yeah.
A story about a person.
Okay.
Or even when you hear a story about a person, sometimes you connect, with that person. Much. But there's just something different when you come across something that was theirs, something as basic as this next door profile, right? And you remember that this was something that she took time to craft herself and use, and it sinks in, as weird as it is to say, it sinks in that she was here, that she was just living her life. And I have to be honest, when I was looking at that picture, that Easter picture, right, that only a grandmother would rock, it did kind of sting. So as I was sifting through, here it is. November 25th of 2021. And Nancy was asking whether buying a ring or a nest would be better for watching animals at night. Okay, someone came in with a trail camera would be good. Somebody else came in with a ring camera. They have one and they love it or whatnot. And as we know, Nancy didn't go with either of them, right? She went with a Nest camera, and I could sort of see.
And guys, I welcome Clark. I hope you're doing well. Big hug to you. I texted you to make sure you're good. We were all missing you on Friday, and thank you for coming in and showing up, and thank you for the super chat or super sticker or what have you. Guys, this is never a good idea also to post something like that on your next door, because you never know who's reading it. All right. Monk used to be an FBI investigator. Interesting. I did not know that. But this video that talks about Derek Kella double dipping, meaning he's either going to get, remember, he tried to get something for that ransom. He was hoping that somebody would send Bitcoin over and not even question it, because he knew that they were desperate to find their mom. But then there's a second side to the story as well. There's a double dipping, a catch-22.
Why this thread wasn't that helpful for her, because I guess this lady right here, you know, bless her soul, but she was talking about skunks for about 3 paragraphs. So I think Nancy checked out and just went to go buy a Nest camera. And with this, we could assume that Nancy got her Nest camera around the beginning of 2022, making it about 4 years, right? A solid 4 years.
And that's not too bad. But what happens a lot, guys, is you'll change your credit card info because you're not putting in you don't want to put your banking and routing number. You put a credit card, that credit card either goes away or there's fraud. You get rid of that credit card, get a new one, and forget to replace it. All right. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking anybody is, nefariously didn't pay the bill or anything like that. I really just don't. Yeah, I know that, Ben, and thank you. And we'll take a look at that after. I just want to get through this. What we're talking about today. Derek Kella is going on trial for this, guys, and that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about him. I'll go a little bit more forward about the subscriptions. It doesn't matter.
We're designated caretakers of Nancy. Possibly having power of attorney, I keep hearing, and that's completely plausible. Okay, that it would be, let's say, Annie looking over her Nest.
And guess what? They are. I mean, you guys, whoever's out there right now, all those people that were watching live, okay, everybody that's out there just staring at the house and what have you, who are the 2 people that you see moving boxes, going in and out? Obviously, it's Annie and Tommaso. All right. Yeah, I'm digging him too, especially because we only have so much context that are actual facts, and then we have to start going with theory, which again, the theory of the blood spatter from several people across the board think the same thing that I thought from the beginning when Nancy realized they were going to take her out of the house. She got spicy and smart with them and didn't want to go and tried to fight, and they smacked her with something, and that caused, and you'll see. But that's always what I've thought. I've always thought she's like, I'm not gonna. And here's another thing. Here, think about this. Think about this. What if they came in there? Remember, you guys, people say they were there for what, 41 minutes? What if it was someone that came in there that was close to the family, but not close enough to have Savannah Guthrie's number? What if at 2:00 in the morning, when she was woken by this guy in a mask, or 2 or 3, that they said, hey, first of all, where's your safe? I want the cash. And second of all, get your daughter on the phone right now. We want a ransom. Hell, absolutely not. She's 84 years old, right? She's 84 years old. She doesn't walk very well. She's a little spicy, according to Savannah. And she says, I'm not calling my daughter at 2 in the morning to ask for money. No, I'm not even giving you her number. I'm not doing any of that. Backhand. Okay, now, well, where's your safe? Well, I have one, but there's nothing in it. Well, you better show me. Remember, they had them spend time in that house, and they did spend time in that house. So what transpired in that house after she woke up and the blood for them to smack her? Do you think that they said, I want this now. Let's call her right now and get, because I think had they called Savannah, I literally think had she called Savannah right then and there that night and they were, let's say they were honest kidnappers, Savannah would have just said, click, 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 Bitcoin, give my mom back. No hesitation, especially when you provide an urgency like that. Now, that's an urgency. If Mama Pearl calls me at 2 a.m. and I wake up and she's like, hey, someone's got to, I wouldn't even question it twice. If I had the money, I would send it over and then ask questions later. So just think about that. And that's why we're talking. This is why we're here talking about these two people and not anybody else right now. Because these two people are the people that are connected to Darren Kella, who's also going to a trial. We got DJ Mojito, we've got Luke. All of these people are connected, guys. I mean, why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about that more? I'm talking about it, but law enforcement isn't.
Subscription. And this would also open up another question. Would Annie's house have security cameras as well? Right? Now, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Yes, it could.
But I'll say many things are going to be corroborated that night if they did, okay? Such as when their cars leave or when it returns home. Because I always mention it, a few people in the comments section were kind enough to tell me that Annie's car and Tommaso's car is still impounded by the FBI.
Now,
if this is true.
It was, but it's not any longer. I know something about the black box, and they botched something in there allegedly. But I got to tell you guys, now that we're into the David case, D4VD and Celeste, knee deep, I think there's much more going on behind the scenes than any one of you or I know about. I believe FBI is working their angle. They've got the DNA. They're waiting to get the genealogical get into the genealogical system, whatever will allow them to. There's certain ones that will, there's certain ones that they won't. Okay. And FBI has some tricks up their sleeve. I do not think that they just took that car for a month without putting maybe a wiretap, maybe a transmitter, maybe a something on the car that would track them. So in case they go back to where the body was or to go move something, I'm telling you, they did that to Scott Peterson. We're here in California. They let Scott Peterson run around like he was free, and they put a tracker, and he kept going back to that spot where ultimately Lacey and baby Connor washed up on the shore. Okay, so don't think that they didn't do something to that car, that they didn't have enough pull to either put a tracker or to put a device that's recording and in that house. Okay, just think of it. All right, let's continue.
For this long, it's been 22 days. Now, I'll say, aren't they now being victimized again, per your own words, by losing their car? The only car that I think they have. But then it occurs to me again, it was the FBI that took their car because they...
Oh, that's just a troll. I love you guys, but don't worry about it. That person won't be able to come back here. Just a troll. I don't know why you act like a boy is. That makes me laugh, but I just timed them out forever. We won't have to see Denise or whoever that is again, guys. Don't worry. I have thick skin. I do not get offended by that, okay? I literally just went and got a haircut like this. Like this, right? It's a boy's haircut. All right, let's continue. I love you guys, though, and thank you. I am about to also gift a membership because Lady for Justice and Foxy did, so I'm going to match that. If anyone else wants to match any memberships, that's awesome. DJ, you don't ever have to ask me. My mods could drop your link. Just ask them to do so. All right, and I don't care about the trolls. Who cares? Like I'm 46 years old. I've lived my whole life with people saying weird shit to me. Do I care? Not really. All right, let's continue. Thank you. Yeah, hit that like button if you like my haircut. I'm gonna dye my hair for CrimeCon. We're ready to go. All right. Ever see 28 equals odd? Huh? Let's continue. Love you guys though. That person's bye-bye.
Have not cleared them. Now let's talk about the other person that has not been cleared. Okay. And you guys all know him. You know, he's a musician, right? He's a rocker and a roller. And his name is of Italian descent. That's right. Derek Kella. When you're
You like how he showed Tommaso and then he went back? Thank you, Emma McClar. I miss you, my friend. I cannot wait. You better go to Vegas. Are you coming to Vegas? You are, right? Anyway, because Emma McClar is one of my favorite people on this planet. So just saying. Thank you, Positive Vibes, for the Guilty of Crime membership. What is 77 then? Old? No, my mama's 71 and proud. Like my hair, I'll be in Crime Con spirit, baby. You got that right. Exactly. All right, so look, he put a picture of Tommaso up there, but then he said Derek Kella. All right? Keep that in mind. Just keep that in the back of your mind a little bit.
DMV photo looks like a mugshot, you might be up to no good. This man has been charged for fraudulently stealing $10,000 in unemployment benefits, a charge that just happened back in October of 2025, and he has a court date set for March. This is a fresh wound to Kalella's pockets. Now, to his credit, I was not able to uncover any other previous crimes, but within his 42 years, given this current track record, I'd say, man, he must have stole a pack of gum or something. Now, to compound his idiocy, he also is the man that texted Tommaso Cioni and Annie Guthrie separately, asking verbatim, did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. This would happen 4 days after Nancy goes missing, in the midst of the fake ransom notes to TMZ and local news stations. Here was Derek Kella watching on, thinking, look at these amateurs. I'm just going to text them directly. This is the part of the case that always baffles me, because I'm wondering, okay, is it that easy to pull someone's phone number from the internet, especially people that seemingly have locked?
Now, mind you, they have connections. Many people keep their same phone number. We don't know that that Annie and Tommaso that hasn't had a number for 20 years. And you can't tell me that none of these people have any connections, that were in a band together, etc. All right. We do know, well, we theorize there are more than one people involved. So let's go with that and let's talk about this. Yeah, RICO charges sound good to me. And welcome new members. If you received a membership, awesome. Welcome to the crime crew. All right. Synth is like that. Denise, you know who Denise is? Denise is probably some dude named Dennis that's not secure with his own sexuality, so he wants to come on and talk shit. So bye, Felicia. And I'm not talking about you. All right, let's continue. Derek Kella, remember, we're not just talking about this. He is going to trial for this. I want to see, is he going to take a plea deal and what's going to come out of it?
Down most of their contact information, right? Including social media. Now, personally, I've never tried. I guess I have to see it from a fraudster's perspective and determination, I guess you could say. He told the authorities that he pulled the family's information from a cyber website. That was it, and that was all, as vague as can be. So of all ransom scammers, he has to be the only one that was able to get the family's number. And the way he was caught is mind-numbingly dumb. And we have a whole theory to wrap around it so that it could make sense. Not only did he send Annie and Tommaso each a text message individually, guys, 3 minutes after that, he directly called one of them.
Now, I gotta tell you guys, you already know that in true crime, most of us don't believe in coincidences. And then you start stacking up the pieces to this case, and those people and those coincidences start having connections. All right. This is not a coincidence. And I wonder what's going to come out of this. Exactly, Mo Frano. Not only that, but you guys, I think a lot of people keep forgetting about all the people that were detained, questioned, and let go of. Those people are on a list right now that FBI is reviewing. And I'm saying this to say this. Those people are mostly connected in some way to Annie and Tommaso. So let's say Annie and Tommaso didn't know. Maybe they were drinking one night and they were out hitting the pool sticks, and they're like, oh, I'm just so tired of having to take care of my mother-in-law. Damn it. Who's your mother? Or maybe they know Nancy Guthrie, right? Nancy has money. But I think somebody would not want to reach out to Savannah directly, because especially if it was somebody that knew her, she might know the wording, etc. So it's much easier to go through the back door to Annie and Tommaso, right? Right. All right, let's continue. Yeah, these guys are not criminal masterminds, I'll tell you that. This will be solved.
They're not telling us who. I'm assuming it's Tommaso. I'm just going to read this verbatim from a court doc, okay? Kella called a family member of the NG, which lasted 9 seconds. He uses a voice over IP, and that generates you a whole new phone number, right? So that he can't be traced. Kella must have been playing hooky from Scammer 101 because he literally signed up that voice over IP number with his actual email. And that is not even the most outrageous of them.
I mean, I'm looking, he's going to tell us more, but guys, I'm looking at the article where it says he's going to trial. And I agree with a lot of these people. People are saying, I feel like those text messages were intentional and there's some involvement in that circle, right? All of this stuff. This guy, they're saying, is overcharged for a note. What else happened? And that's what I'm saying. That's a big reach for a fake note. I don't think so. I think they're still looking into him. And I think the FBI has to push aside Nanos because the first 72 hours were botched. All right. So let's continue. Ridiculous.
Because I need to let you guess what his email is. Take a moment. How many detectives, when they uncovered this, just looked at each other and just busted out laughing? The Nancy Guthrie case has brought us so many colorful characters, if only just to remind us that you don't have to be smart when you are lucky. So let's get to our working theory. So we all know it's really hard to make it in the music world, right? To get your art out there and actually impact listeners, a vast amount of listeners. So for a lot of people, it turns into a great hobby, right? 50-year-olds rocking in their garage with their bands. And to be honest, I find that stuff kind of endearing, right? I find it pretty awesome even. I know a 90-year-old man. He is my father-in-law's sister's husband, 90 years old, and he is just taking up the French horn. He tells me he's taking up the French horn. He's taking classes. He shows me YouTube videos of someone playing the French horn. And I admire this man dearly because I never want to think of age to be a factor for loving something. So here's Derek on his YouTube channel, and hey, he looks a bit like Colin Farrell, doesn't he? And he's jamming, right? His music videos are pretty much low effort, a very strange, eclectic kind of sound.
Keep in mind, we're covering the David case, and guys, there are so many, not coincidences, so many connections from David's real life and what he did in the abuse of Celeste and other children with his music. Now, I am going to have to find that clip tomorrow when we cover David again, because you guys were with me last week when we covered David, and I played those text messages for you where David says to Celeste, "Why do you think we met?" "What do you mean? What do you mean?" "Oh," she says, "oh, it's the string theory, the invisible string theory. I think we were always meant to meet, and there was an invisible string from me to you, and it was just inevitable." And he goes on, David goes on to say that to this little freaking girl that's probably no more than 13, 14 at the time. "Oh yeah, grown man. Yeah, that's an invisible heart. Yeah, oh sure. My heart has a string right to your vagina." I mean, okay. Now listen. I just saw the response to it. And this guy, it's not only pathetic, these videos, but I'm gonna bring into David being pathetic because he did an interview not too long ago that says, "Oh yeah, I believe in the invisible string theory. I talk about that in my music, but don't worry, that girl that I was invisibly or the invisible string was connected to, she's no longer in my life." This is after she was missing and dead. Okay, so I'm gonna have to play that, but I say that to say this. Don't think that these guys aren't hiding in plain sight and the shit they're doing isn't connected to who they are. All right, that is a very special kind of stupid. What's up, Beverly? Good to see ya. How you doing? I can't run in the halls anymore. Yeah, they're funny.
You say the least. It's rock, though, right? And I'll just say that it's not my cup of tea because, hey, I listen to the French horn. So in the world of underground rock, you get gigs, you play in small clubs, right? You run in a circle of like-minded rockers, I assume. Okay, so in our working theory here, there is a channel that connects two rockers to each other. And through the grapevine, they happen to exchange numbers. It's just a story because really there is no way for me to know how they would ever be in contact with each other, which is probably why they are in cahoots in this working theory because of the lack of past connection. Wouldn't it be interesting to know when Kella saved that contact information of Thomas Sione and Annie Guthrie? Because it clearly is in his phone. But when? And I'm sure the FBI has already plugged his phone into that thing called Cellbrite, where it pretty much extracts everything about your phone and they know everything.
But guys, it takes a while. Everybody keeps on saying, why did it take 7 months to arrest David? It's because they need to have the evidence in case. And like he's doing, he did not waive his right to a speedy trial. It's go time. 60 days after they get the prelim and get all the discovery, it's go time. All right? That's what I think. This guy is he is weird. They talk a lot about devil worshiping, but all of them are connected to that.
That you've done. And if they did find a connection to, say, Tommaso or Annie, I think that's information that they are going to keep very close to the vest. Because that would mean that Kella is just basically a hired hand and they will wait for the actual wolf. So Kella, in our working theory, is drowning his sorrows away by making music, right? He is down and out after being busted for defrauding the government for nearly $10,000. And out of the blue, he gets a text from a name he's nearly forgotten. And this person was asking if he was looking to make some money. And we already know Derek really wants to make some money. However, this communication...
And Luke has a little bit of a criminal background. All of these people have something going on. This is hard to unsee again, by the way. This is Zach, right? This is Zach. And I saw this over the weekend and I was like, who is that? Why does it look so crazy familiar? But then if you look at his lips and you go back and forth, or if you were to superimpose it against each other, I've never seen Zach's eyes so wide open as I saw on the layover. So I say that to say this. There's more than one person involved, in my opinion. Okay. Again, we're talking about Derek Kella now, but that's not there's no invisible string about it. These people are connected and we need to find out how and who. And I believe FBI is working on that. Thanks. We're not done yet. I don't think we're going to, I don't know if we're playing the music.
Was rather wild
so.
For Kella, right? It was to be a kidnap and ransom. However, the woman he was kidnapping was not meant to survive. The woman he was kidnapping was the man's mother-in-law and the 84-year-old mother of Savannah Guthrie. So I call this working theory the double dipping theory. And it's one that's been developing in the back of my head for ever since this story about Kella came out because it never made sense. Now, I get that, maybe getting to Savannah is a little harder. She is a celebrity and her information, I guess, is.
But don't you think that don't you think if FBI had been working on this right away, they might have seen it, and all of these people they detained, more than just I'm going to detain you and then put you away when they start seeing the connections. I think that's going to come out though. Well, there you go. That too, Irish girl. Irish girl says, let's not forget that Annie and Tommaso lived in California, not too far from Derek Kella. Again, they are all connected, and I don't know to what level. Maybe last year they went to a New Year's party together. Maybe they're connected. But thank you for that portion of it. There's absolutely a connection there, and I don't know why we're not talking about it more.
More protected. But what about Cameron Guthrie, the retired Air Force brother? I mean, you could try to contact him as well. I mean, 3 out of 4 is still pretty good.
Right.
But instead, you only message the 2 people that don't seem to be making much money at all. Now, I will say, maybe you're just using them to get to Savannah, right? Because she has all the money. And that would be the only way I see it. But the wording of the text, guys, is very problematic. Let me read it to you again. Did you get the Bitcoin?
And at least in this one, they say it correctly, because this is the same charging document I'm looking at behind, and they quoted it incorrectly in the article. This is the correct version of it. And, the California man charged with transmitting a demand for ransom, or Derek Kella, it says that the Department of Justice it protects the victims at all costs, but they are continuing to look into this. This is not something that they're writing off. If you're an imposter or not, they're going to investigate and ensure that each person is held accountable for what they're doing. They also don't give FBI booking photos. So we don't know what happened with Kella. We know what the complaint is, and we know what they tell us, but we don't know what they have, what they've tapped, what they've done, what they've looked at. We have no idea. And rightfully so. They shouldn't tell us.
We're waiting on our end. I genuinely believe that Kella is expecting a payment when you hear something like that, because doesn't it sound more like a reminder by Kella, who's getting impatient? Remember, he's broke. He has an impending court date, for fraud. If he was really looking for a ransom, or if he was just planning a prank for a ransom, wouldn't that text message sound more like this? Something like, I have Nancy, I have your mom, don't F with me. I want this amount of money, and I want it by this time.
Which
doesn't that sound like what it's supposed to sound like? Now that's everything
that's supposed to sound like that, and none of them have thus far. Also, a good point was brought up earlier that Savannah did say a couple of the ransom notes seemed to be legit. Ones that I responded to, that we or her responded to, and the others not. Do you think she's referring to this guy? And of course, guys, Annie and Tommaso are not going to say to Annie, oh yeah, we talked to him last week, or we hung out with them, and they're not going to say any of that. They're going to say, oh shit, first of all, I got this text. Why'd they text my phone? Damn it. Both phones, they're going to look at each other and be freaked out. And then they get a 9-second phone call and like, don't call me or don't text me. Of course, they have to turn in their item. They have to turn in their electronics, because FBI had their vehicle for what? Over a month? These are the people that should have been the main people of interest, because they were the last people to be with Nancy when she was alive. Particularly Tommaso, right? He's the one that dropped her off, didn't he? Or am I wrong? All right, let's continue.
Ransom 101, okay? Now compare that with, do you have the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. If this was a prank, what in the world does the fraudster Derek have to gain from this?
Right?
Nothing.
Jail time. That's about
He's
it.
inserting himself into a massive criminal investigation as a known criminal himself. He's either the stupidest man alive or he actually did the crime. So, in my opinion,
I'm going to correct him and say he's part of the crime. I do not think there's a single individual at all whatsoever. All right. You're a love monk. I'll go love monk. You're never wrong. All right, let's continue. We got more. We're going to talk about the blood spatter and things like that as well. I don't think I don't think that it was supposed to be a kidnapping for ransom. I think that was an afterthought. And that's because of the way the messages came in. And what he's saying, 101 is, kidnapping 101 is, hey, I got your mom. I want the ransom. Don't call law enforcement or I will kill her. Don't call anyone or I will kill her. Maybe tell your sister to put that Bitcoin in by tomorrow morning or I will kill her. But no, I'm going to send it to news. I'm going to send it to TMZ after 2 full days of not saying anything. It's not likely.
In my working theory, Annie and Tommaso have to be involved for it to make any type of sense. Remember that Annie and Tommaso are being protected by the sheriff, not being looked at as suspects per the sheriff's own words that he cleared them very early on. So this is 4 days into the investigation. He's already cleared them by this point. So I want you to picture if Tommaso is involved, okay? Imagine the sweat that would be beating down his forehead when he receives a text from that dumbass Kella. What Kella is not taking into consideration is that Tommaso and Annie haven't been cleared by the FBI yet.
Whoa,
so anything coming from his phone.
Guys, nobody's been cleared, okay? And I think you guys are going to be just as shocked as all of us are when FBI finally makes a statement or finally makes a move, and then we find out. Because they have no reason to tell us, and rightfully so. Nanos already botched this.
In the future is evidence, and there it was. A text, a direct link to the culprit. And not only this, he messages Annie as well, incriminating her. Now, Tommaso is a smart guy. Okay, we have to give him that.
Didn't he?
The great manifester, right? So he immediately calls the FBI and tells them that he got a ransom request and proceeds to show them the worst ransom note. It's up there with the Jean Bonnet ransom note. And they read it. Do you have the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. What can Tommaso say?
Yeah, right?
He can say, FBI, sir, I have no idea where this is coming from. The reason why I call this the double dipping theory is because of this angle that might only make sense to me. Okay. So if Tommaso and Annie are involved, that means it's for the inheritance. Now,
and it may not even just be the inheritance, because we've looked into that several times. Yeah, I love Monk because we don't have a lot of information. All we could do right now is really storytell with the facts that we've had since the beginning and go back to it and say, what are these connections and why? All right. I picture Tommaso and Kella or whoever, Jasper and Horace from, oh my God. Oh, Colleen, what's up? All right. Hi, we are waiting, but we need to get Nanos out of the way.
Think of it from Kalella's perspective if he wants to be involved. He's risking life in prison and possibly execution here. And splitting an inheritance is not enough for Kella, okay? It's already being split 3 ways amongst the kid before it even gets to him. So, to sweeten the pot, the clever Tommaso, the great manifester, suggests that he will pay Kella a flat fee, let's say a Bitcoin, but you have to keep Nancy alive long enough so that you can give the family proof of life.
Right. And now that could convert to anybody. Guys, let's pretend like we don't know any of these people. Let's pretend like Derek is not going on trial for doing this, and there's not a weird coincidence between Annie and Tommaso and Darren Kella and Luke and all these people that have been detained, right, separately. Let's pretend that for a second. All right. And proof of life never happened. And that's why I don't believe that she was meant to make it out. I think it was an afterthought of what they were going to do. I think the money wasn't money of like, oh, we're going to get an inheritance. We don't have to take care of my damn mother-in-law. I'm so tired of it. She's blah, 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 right? Remember, Tommaso hasn't said a word to anyone. As a matter of fact, he covers his face and he goes off to, where did he go? Italy? And then comes back and covers his face a little more. His beard's shorter now. All right. Yes, please. We have 200 people in chat. Hit that like button, y'all.
And from that, you stand to make millions. They will pay for Nancy. I promise you. Just ask for Bitcoin. They pay. You cash out. She dies. You disappear. So in the double dipping theory, you have inheritance and a scam ransom after proof of life. And it was all going great, wasn't it? Except Kella forgot something. He forgot Nancy's meds, and he couldn't keep her alive, but for, say, a day. So proof of life was gone by day 4. And because there were so many charlatans in the world doing the same exact thing, he couldn't even get his ransom out to the world because with no proof of life, he had nothing to stand out from the others. Kella has absolutely nothing. No Bitcoin, and is going to jail for that prank ransom call.
That's
and if we're
true.
basing it on reality,
That's
okay,
true, man.
he did the world's most mind-numbing prank, okay, with the worst ransom text known to man. And the more I think about this, the more absurd it sounds, and the more this theory makes sense to me.
All right, let's talk about we're not going to use this one. We're going to quickly talk about the blood spatter, and then I'm going to jump off into the timeline real quick because we've got 3 heads plus mine plus yours are much better than one. Okay, so I will hop over there. I wanted to let the interview room and stuff be ahead of me. It's not good etiquette to be streaming somebody's stream at the same time while they're live. It's just not cool. Hey, Carissa, good to see you. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are all feeling good today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. All right, blood splatter. And I've thought that, not splatter, spatter. I just want to make sure you guys know the difference between blood spatter and blood splatter. All right, let's remove this. Pop this on real quick. And let's talk about that blood spatter. And I do think that Nancy Guthrie did not live long past this.
The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie vanished nearly 3 months ago, but her disappearance remains a chilling mystery. Investigators have found few clues that we know of. Among them, these grainy images of a masked man on her porch the night she disappeared. And then, of course, there's the blood spatter on her doorstep, which DNA testing confirmed belonged to the 84-year-old grandmother. But while these clues may seem limited, my next guest says these images provide a treasure trove of information on.
And again, this is like 6 minutes of blood spatter, so you guys can see that I don't think that she made it much past this. I think they backhanded her or did whatever they were going to do. All right, but this is all in 6 minutes, and I know that there's a new one. I listened to the new video with Monk's Intrigue. It's basically the same thing except drawn out, but I do want to take you back to the interview room when we're done here. What's the creepy theory? Is he saying porch? I mean, there's so many. He is saying porch guy, but look at what we've been looking at. When I saw this, that looked the most similar to me because of the lips and the mustache and the point on his nose. They overlaid it last night. I don't know, Mab, was that your buddy's channel? Patriot? Anyway, one of the channels overlapped it, and I said, dear Lord, I can't unsee those lips, and I can't unsee where his nose is. All right? Because when you look at it like this, Luke's eyes match, but Zach's eyes are they don't match only because they didn't make the face big enough. If you look at this and you look at that, it's the right spacing, the right size. It's not the right size in this. That's why. All right. But look at that bottom lip and the thing. And when you look at his nose and where it drops down on the mask, it's like, damn, what do you do with that? Well, you should investigate it. All right, let's continue so we can move forward on some of the things that law enforcement is just frankly not talking about. And we want to know why.
Guthrie and what happened to her that night. Retired Special Agent Jim Clemente has drilled down on these pictures frame by frame. And to try and fill in the blanks on this baffling mystery, he joins me now to share what he found. Jim, great to see you. We should say you were an FBI profiler. Yes. It was your job on tough, cold cases to come in and reverse engineer, try and figure out who they should be looking for. Yes. Let's first take a look at the blood images. The first one is this image. It's a wide shot of the blood spatter on the doorstep. What does that tell you?
Here's the problem with dragging her out, and I've tried to hear that theory about dragging her out. If they drug her out of the front door before they drug her out, or while they were carrying her, she got upset with them and did something, and you'll hear but what I think, but I also, there's no drag marks on there. There's no drag marks anywhere, so maybe they had her in a tarp or a sheet. There wouldn't not necessarily just be drag marks there. There's no drag marks in the driveway where it drops and then it just stops where a car probably pulled up. I mean, unless they were riding horses and the horses came and picked them up, blood drops don't just stop with the 84-year-old lady. They stop because you put her somewhere else or something else. The drag marks, I don't see. It's a shoulder carry for sure. If there's one, if there's two, it could be a little different.
When you look at it.
Well, it tells a story of a snapshot of time. There's low velocity blood spatter, there's medium velocity blood spatter, and then there's on the right-hand side, you see a blood smear. That means somebody impacted that blood.
It could be the waterproof sheets. We don't know if that's missing though. There's no list. Like in the David case, I showed you all the list of the evidence that they have. We don't have any of that. And yes, most older people do have a waterproof sheet on their bed. I'll take a look at Ivan Miller in a minute. I kind of I stay on more facts than speculation, but let me see.
Hit the floor.
Stepped on it,
rubbed an arm or a hand through it, something like that.
What do the blood drops tell you?
Well, the bigger droplets tell us that because there's no directionality, that they were dropped almost directly from above. But the smaller droplets tell a different story.
Which is what?
Well, they're actually medium velocity blood droplets, which means that they were coughed out. They were aspirated and then coughed out. And I know that because some of these blood droplets, you can see they're sort of rings rather than the whole solid droplet. And that meant that they hit the ground as a bubble. They had air in them. And that can only happen when somebody coughs or sneezes out blood.
So what does all that tell you? We know this blood is Nancy's. What does that, studying that blood, what does that tell you about what was happening to her at that moment?
It tells me that her face was within a foot, probably several inches above the ground, almost directly above that first upper left blood stain. And it tells me that this is probably where she made her last stand, where she fought her abductor.
She was 84 and could barely walk.
I understand, but this is probably where she gave them the initiative to hit her in the face. She started bleeding. It went down her throat.
And that's what I think. I think the moment she realized they were going to take her, she panicked even more than she already had. Because if these people were in the house for 41 minutes or even half of that time, she wouldn't think that. She might be sitting there awake, scared, while they're, rummaging through her stuff or trying to find a code to her safe that, frankly, didn't really have anything in it. Maybe but some pills and, a couple jewelry things. We just don't know. We haven't heard about it. Yeah, that's spatter, not splatter. Those are blood drops, not no, it's spatter. I actually looked it up. Spatter, spatter. It's the smaller little drops that can be aspirated out Splatter would be like when you stab someone and then it just comes out, not little patterns. Because we're looking at those stones, we're looking at the bricks or whatever those are on the ground, the stones, we're looking at them close up. When we look at them, when someone walks up, there's really not that much. It's a very, very small amount. So it's spatter, not splatter. Splatter, like I said, would be you shoot someone and splatters. All right, that's splatter, not spatter. All right, let's continue.
She coughed it up as she went down to the ground here. This tells me that was most likely only one offender, because two offenders would have had control of her completely, and she would never have made her way down to the ground so close to be able to make that blood spatter, that medium velocity blood spatter.
How could one person do this? How could, I mean,
also, guys, another thing which is wild and I didn't notice earlier, if you look down at the, if you can you see my mouse? This is this is an imprint of something. This is not spatter. Now, I watched the video earlier and I think it was at the very end that it looks like when she did all that, they touched their glove. It looks like, and it's hard to tell from here because it's so zoomed in, but that piece right there that you see with my mouse, those are prints. That is not blood spatter there. All right. And that does make a difference. Let's continue.
she was 84. She could barely walk. She wasn't tiny. I mean, carrying another human being, no matter what size they are.
I don't believe he was carrying her until after this point. At this point, she was ambulatory, and I believe she was punched. She was injured. She went down to her knees, and her face was very close to the ground when she coughed up this blood. And after that, he picked her up and carried her away. Getting her to that point, he had a gun, and a very visible gun, when he was on his way in. He used that gun to control her, but at this point, she fought back.
All right, so you're using your FBI profiler skills to really study everything you have, and which isn't much we have in the public sphere. But what, using your skills as a profiler, is the story to you on who this person is who took her?
Well, if two of the ransom notes were real, then part of the motivation was money. But I believe that there may have been a second motivation, and that is probably to hurt Savannah Guthrie.
And I've always thought there was a second motivation, not necessarily to hurt Savannah, but there's a second motivation. And I'm going to show you I'm going to pull it out in a minute, and I'll show you a bit and a piece of what I'm talking about. Cuff, you didn't notice that? It is not, I repeat, that is not a blood spatter at all whatsoever. Somebody touched it, or the corner of their shoe stepped in it, or what have you. It's not that. Thank you, Flojo. I'll check my email right now as we wrap this spatter part up.
By taking her mother, by depriving her of that. And that could have been based on some interaction that this offender had with the mother or with Savannah in the past. Could have been weeks or months or years ago. It could also have been just a delusion in his own mind. And he could have built up an anger and a resentment against her. And as a result, he felt justified in taking the mother to hurt her.
So I'm hearing you say you think it was a man, you think it was a man who was acting alone, and you think it was a man who...
I definitely don't think it's a person or man acting alone. And I did get that. I'm going to show it after, because that is some type of print, and it does look like a shoe print. I didn't know if it was a hand. But it's not blood spatter coming from the victim. It came from the victim, and someone stepped in it or touched it or what have you. Donna, prayers to you. Please feel better. Lay down, chill out, relax. Good to see you. Weaponized Cats, how you doing? I love when Mab's in the house. What's up, Gigi? How you doing? Thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I do a lot of research, guys. A lot of research.
Had some sort of obsession with Savannah.
I think that's the highest
watched
probability.
Watched her on TV every morning and, became obsessed somehow.
And he may have had some delusion going on in his brain, and that nobody else knew about, or that he maybe spoke to some people about. And that's how we might be able to catch him, because at some point, somebody out there will recognize that this guy always talked about her, or said he was going to come into some money, or right as this happened, as the images were released, he left town because he had an emergency.
Super quick, Jim. Do you think, given, I know these are all your theories as a but you are a profiler and this is your expertise, was she alive for any portion of the time she was missing?
Well, she was certainly alive up until that point where she fell in her own front stoop.
Okay.
So when he took her, she was alive.
All right, Jim Clemente, we will continue to follow this case until hopefully the mystery is solved.
Well, she was alive, obviously, because that was her blood. How much longer? I don't know. Pamela, welcome. Welcome. Hello. And everybody else, weaponized cats, welcome. Mabs, tubing ain't easy. You're right, because you know what? If you say a word like that, like, I mean, in the past, this has happened, Mab. You know, when I'm at 3,000, 4,000 subs back in the day, I thought, oh, spatter, splatter, tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Mab, trust me, you want to say the correct word or you're going to have videos everywhere about you and how, you know, it's YouTube. Tubing ain't easy. You got that right. All right, I'm going to show you the pictures, and thank you so much, Flojo, for sending those over. Let me put that up so you can see, and then we're going to go into a little bit of the actual tracks. Look at that. This is what I was referring to, and let me make sure you guys can see it because I know Cuffy was interested in seeing it and several others. All right. Yes, all attention is good attention, but not really. I'll have to tell you about that later, buddy. All attention is not good attention. Not when you have kids in a family. In your house or people, yeah. Or they start putting your wife on blast. Nah, that's not good attention. All right, check this out. That's a mark. Now, I'm glad that they recognize this because they were talking about shoe marks on monks. All right. So we're looking at the shoes. We're looking at the drop. And again, it's closer, right? It's farther. So much as I can zoom in on it. But you did see when we were there. You can see it right there. Okay. And then we go to that. That is a track of some sort. The side of a shoe. I was thinking it was like a hand, but you're right. The fact that there's like little holes in the in this print would be more like that. As a matter of fact, just like that. And I'm not sure if those are Skechers or not. But a lot of people are saying that the man at the front, the man that we saw with the sloppy gun and the front was wearing Skechers. So I don't know if those are Skechers or not. You can fill me in, Flojo, if you know. All right, but that is not. Those are not, I should say, just blood spatter without a print. And now that I see it closer, and that way it looks like a shoe print. All right. So let me drop this down. Let's go a little bit more into the spatter, and then I'll get you to some of the other things. Because look at how much different this looks when I give you this version of it. How does that look to you? Huh? You called the sheriff, Mab? I think they're on cloud shoes. Okay, look at the blood now. It doesn't look like a lot. And it doesn't look like much when you're looking from it afar. Also, that mat's still hanging out there. And the shrubbery that he had and his DNA was all over, and he had his mouth on the bite line, then he touched it and he had the shrubbery. That's all still sitting there. All right. You called the sheriff, but I did not call the deputy. Okay. You can call the sheriff, but not the deputy. You called Nanos? Are you being serious or are you just playing right now? It sounds like he's playing, but okay. This is a different perspective. Look at this. Listen to this for a minute.
Couldn't really make heads or tails of it. Every time I sat down and just stared at that blood, I've stared at this blood for hours now. And I have to replay multiple scenarios again and again to try to make.
Now, this just came out as well. So I'm just going through a little part. Oh, I shot the sheriff. Okay. I'm like, what is he talking about? I do know the song, but I was thinking about the case. Whenever I'm in a mood like that, I'm kind of stay in the mood like that. All right. Okay, you see that? But listen, here's a little bit deeper into
It
this.
makes sense. And it always feels like we're missing something here. And you pair that with the propped open back doors and things just get even more bizarre. And I do believe that we have been building upon a solid foundation, right? A solid theory that if the culprit propped open that back door and came through that back door, he had every intention to leave through it because of it. And they also propped open that back gate. So yes, that was the initial plan. But something that happened.
Well, we don't really know that. Now, in his opinion, that was their plan. And wasn't there blood on the other side of the door? Not that I know of. Anybody else know that there was blood on the other side of that door? I don't think so. They've never told us anything. And I never heard of On Cloud shoes. Is that a brand of Skechers, or is that just some? I'll look it up while we're doing this. All right.
Happened inside the house proved difficult, and it changed their plan. You know, maybe Nancy just wasn't as easy to remove or as easy to persuade as they thought, even with a gun. Okay. Maybe once she realized what this was, that this guy wasn't there to take her stuff, he was there to take her. We're not too sure how she reacted, right?
Oh,
now, those that knew her might be able to give us an idea, a better idea of what she might have done. But as far as us, I mean, we don't know how much fight.
Okay, it's just a brand. On Cloud is a brand, and maybe it's overhyped, maybe it's not. I'm looking it up, and it's like, are the Cloud shoes really worth it? And they start going into how much they are and showing the bottoms. But the one thing I do see is that bottom that FloJo just showed us, and that bottom would match the bottom of the Cloud shoes. Yeah, it is its own brand. I just looked it up. So let me just show you this real quick. So when you look back at the blood, guys, that's it right there. That's what he's referring to. That's those lines that are running parallel, and the markings with like a gap here and a gap here. That's what it looks like. It's like the On Cloud shoes. It's almost identical. The only thing is there's a little bit more blood that's saturated through the print, so those aren't completely clear. All right, minus the devil song. All right, let's get this back out of here. Get that back up. Hold on. No On Cloud shoes for us.
She actually had in her, which could possibly be a lot. And that blood is starting to tell a story that hopefully I'm able to convey clearly here. So my stance is still that the porch guy video should not exist because of this thumbnail that we've all seen, that we all tend to believe came from a different night, at least from weeks prior, according to the FBI, possibly January 11th. That's the date we keep hearing. A different night indeed, because even when you look at the perp shoes, it looks like he has on a different pair. So if he was there before, then he should clearly see those infrared lights of her Nest camera, especially in that pitch blackness, staring at him and recording him. He should also see that there's a security door there to boot. So the question is, why is he attempting this again on the night of January 31st? Okay, that makes no sense. The best way to not be recorded is to not be in front of the camera. So in this updated working theory, we are adding the Wi-Fi jammer in there because I truly believe that answers a lot of the questions.
Which I'm not so sure about, but maybe now that I see the bigger picture that a lot of people's cameras weren't working that night, unless these people were all just kind of retired, comfortable people that felt safe to leave their windows open and their doors unlocked, and they just didn't have it. I'm still not sure about that. FloJo said it. What did FloJo say? The bottom of the shoe. It does. That I agree with. But why aren't we looking at any of these things? And maybe FBI is. Some say the blood flowed into depression in the tile. Huh. Maybe. I mean, a lot of people are out there. It looks like a lot more blood than it is.
About this phantom car and neighbors' cameras getting knocked out. A lot of people.
I'm going to get past that theory because I'm not completely into that, but I want to see what the blood splatter means.
Fight left in her. Okay. This abductor probably went in fully believing that their threats and their gun would be enough to walk an 84-year-old woman out of her own home. But I'm going to say, if Nancy's Facebook is any indication,
and one of the big things that Savannah says, ooh, my mom, she's nice. You know, she gives that whole like, she's a beautiful, lovely soul, whatever. But she's got some kick in her, some spice, knowing that her mom's going to fight back and not just take it. All right. I mean, definitely, we've thought there was a lot of decoys, because why not just go around the back door? Why go on camera, just like Monk said?
I think we can say that she is pretty vocal about what she believes. Okay, she's a woman that is going to say what's on her mind. She's living her life the way she wanted. And I'm thinking that she's going out on her own terms as well. At least I feel. And something happened around 2 a.m. that night that caused that spike. I never believed that Nancy walked out of her own house that night, right?
So.
I actually believe that she never even walked out of her own bedroom. So the culprit's going up to her.
I mean, it's weird. TMZ is now saying they think it's the freaking Uber driver. Where does that come in from? I never heard that. We haven't seen anybody or anything. Has anybody heard about that? Let me know in chat as we continue. I know that's what I'm trying to, that's what I was trying to show you, is her arms had purple bruising. When you get older, your skin gets thin. They bruise easier. Maybe she had already a cut there, and when they're carrying her, it ripped off, and she caught. Who knows? They say that's aspiration blood, so it's hard to tell. I do not think she was lured out at 2 o'clock in the morning at all. All right, let's continue.
Having to shake her awake because she needed what is called powerful hearing aids. For Nancy, being jarred awake by a man in a mask barking orders at her that she could barely hear would understandably be a very stressful moment for her. I'm thinking that Nancy does show defiance, and possibly that's why she is struck. Because professionals do believe when they see the picture of the blood that it's coming from a stationary position. And from the manner of the blood droplets, it looks something like a nose.
But see the difference between when we're looking at it close and when we zoom out. It's almost like a nothing burger when we zoom out. You don't see anything. And it looks like a whole bunch right here, which we're going to get into this in a second as well. That is a print. I believe that with all my everything. Right?
So I'm going to go with that. Okay, so the intruder might have punched her.
I know. I don't know why.
In the face. And we're going to assume that he busted up her nose and she is bleeding from it. She is also definitely bleeding on her bed sheets at this point. So the question now is, well, where is the blood that seeped into the mattress? Well, here is an interesting statistic I came across that might answer this puzzle. Nancy.
We love statistics, guys. We love it so much. I'm just going to read it. All right. Prevalence of incontinence in elderly women. General urinary incontinence, any leakage will affect roughly 45 to 50% of women aged 60 to 80 plus. Or you could be 40 years old and have had 3 or 4 kids and the same thing happens. You ladies know that. Rates rise with age, and some studies report around 50% of women over 65 and up to 57 in their 80s. That happens. Urinary incontinence, leakage. Many cases are mild, occasional or daytime stress incontinence. It's not involving bedwetting or heavy leakage requiring the protection. They just do that because of that, right? They don't all involve that. Now, nocturnal issues will be bedwetting if they're sleeping. It's less common in general continence or nocturia, waking to urinate. And it affects, nocturia affects 60 to 80% of people over 80. Remember, Nancy couldn't walk too well. She's 84 years old, often 2 times a night, but this usually means getting up rather than involuntarily wetting. And so this is where we come to the conclusion that she probably had one of those covers on her bed.
Do get a glimpse about how her heart felt about it, as according to that spike.
That's true.
And it was not good. Now, I want to say that it's completely possible that she also had a heart attack, which I did get a lot of pushback on when I presented the scenario the first time. And so at this point, allow me to prove that it's possible with my little side quest. So I found 2 hospitals in the local Tucson area, which had to specialize in cardiology and geriatrics. So once I had those 2 looked up, I had to find out what was the likeliest pacemaker that they would equip her with, which actually wasn't hard to figure out because both places, as with many other places, if you want the best, they trusted Medtronics. Now, knowing that Nancy had a pacemaker app, this actually narrowed it down even more for me. And it narrowed it down to the Medtronic Azure that was released in 2017. Now, this is the best of the best and isn't nothing but the best for the mother of a wealthy talk show host to be expected, right? The app that she would be using to track her heart rhythm is called the MyCareLink Heart Mobile app. And I say all that just to say this. The app only tracks the rhythm events of the heart and not heart attacks because they are not rhythm events. I'm no cardiologist. That's just what I found.
Yeah, I really don't think I gotta agree with you, Mab. I don't think that she was scared and shaking in her boots. I think when she initially woke up, yeah, she probably had a scary, eerie feeling. Her ears, her hearing aids weren't in, right? So she had to put those in, and she wakes up to some scary looking dude in a mask, probably shouting something at her, get up, or where's your money, what have you. But I think once that she did get up, I think she was absolutely spicy, and Savannah knows it. Savannah knows that she was ready to fight back. You're not taking me out of this house without a fight. Kiki, thank you so much. Love your show, Jay. Thank you for the $2 towards our goal. Appreciate that. All right. Mab is like, stop talking about leakage. It's a women thing, man. It's a woman thing. It sucks. I don't have that problem. I didn't have kids, but most women that have had kids do.
If an 84-year-old woman has a heart attack at any level, that is very serious. But it doesn't mean that she died.
All right, let's see how many people. How many people did I lose? Can you guys hear me now? All right, I'm gonna go back to sharing this. You guys, let me know if you could hear me. I'm back on. It literally just completely went off, like done. It said, "No, you're not gonna be streaming anymore." All right, can you guys hear me? Hit a 1. Put a 1 if you can hear me. That would be very helpful because I got a ton of messages saying we can't hear you. But now I need a message saying we can hear you. All right, let's go back to the blood spatter one, and let's get to that. I still have things I want to show you, and it's bothered me. But if I'm back on it, hold on, guys. Can you see me? Yeah, you guys. All right, we're good. Dang it, man. That was It said it was StreamYard, but then my whole computer just kind of seized up. That bothers me. I'm gonna have to free up some space, maybe. All right, if you guys can hear me, thank you. My internet's now going slow AF. I don't know why. All right, let's take a look at. Let's just put this back up for a second. I just don't like when it does that out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's go here. And I got this for you. Here, let's do this since I don't know what the hell happened. Just botch that all up. I'm going to go here real quick and see what you guys think of the panel and this. Hold on. Is everybody okay? Here we go. Share screen, and here we are. All right, let's check this out. I want to hear what
and then yank it out. I don't see that happening. Everything was like on top. Like, why was it on top if he's trying to yank it from the back? So I don't buy that one. I don't buy that he's trying to cover it either. I'm not sure really what he's trying to do at that point, except
a diversion. And now we're caught up. We're behind. They've already caught up, so I'm not stealing their content in real life. So we're here. Hit that like button. We still have 160 people in here, and we're good. Yeah. Stay seated. We got a little turbulence here. Freaking, StreamYard has been updating lately, and although I love their updates, there's a lot of failures with
some type of red herring.
I think so too.
And the gun. The gun is so obvious. It's like, who?
All right, you guys know who this is, right? This is Chris from the interview room, which is always, this guy is always long-winded about everything. Got to play him on 2.5.5. We got Monk and then Josh from isn't he the Drunk Turkey Show?
I know some people wear a gun like that, but that felt ostentatious. Yeah, I'm a gunman. When he walks on that scene, I'm a gunman, right? This is an armed robbery of some sort, armed kidnapping. I want you to know that. I'm walking in front of a doorbell camera that I have no business walking in front of, because if I'm the same guy from January 11th, I already know there's a security gate on this door. Barring not having any power tools and risking waking up the neighbors, I am not getting in that front door. I've known this since a month or a couple weeks back. Why am I showing up at the front door again? Right? Cameras don't record you unless you step in front of it. So that was my observation.
Now I want to see what they say about that. I haven't seen any of this. They're probably 45 minutes to an hour ahead. Does anybody know? I mean, other than it being a red herring and them trying to do a diversion tactic. A diversion from what? I know. I've always thought that it's a decoy. I call it red herring. But for what and for why? Who are they trying to make us look at rather than look there? Right? They don't want us looking here. They want us looking there. But why? Does anyone have a why?
But I interrupted Josh, I believe.
No, you didn't interrupt me. I was just saying that I thought that he was just trying to cover it and it didn't work.
Yeah, it appeared that way, and I think he meant for it to appear that way, like he's fumbling something.
But what would be the point of that? signal
to detract from
a
something
signal.
else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nobody is somebody watching those cameras. I mean, you know.
Well, I think he knows that the camera will eventually upload. I'm pretty sure he's done all his research on what a Nest camera can do. So he probably knows that this footage is going to go up to the cloud. Now, I don't know how he's going to know that Google can recover it since they don't have a subscription.
And not only that, I absolutely have to agree that it's a red herring. And the reason this guy fumbled to the door like that with a gun, by the way, pointed at his junk, he or she's junk. They accomplished nothing on that front porch, guys. Nothing that we saw on camera they accomplished. However, I say that to say this. Annie told us herself when she talked to Savannah, the 2 back doors were propped open. So if the 2 back doors were propped open, why go to the front? So I would have to ask, if I was on this panel, if I were on the panel, I'd say to Josh, what do you mean for what? Why did he walk up there with the gun in the way he did, fumbling and even reaching for either the camera or the doorknob and doing this? Those black screen doors make a heavy knock, like, dude, let me in. And the guy's probably like, go around the back, go around the back. I don't think they ever opened the front door from the porch. I think ultimately he went around the back. All right. Unless he took it off and we missed it. So when Josh up here asks why, it's so that they're not looking at the other people. They don't know there's 2 other people maybe already inside the house. I mean, there's no other reason why. There literally is zero reason why.
But there is another alternative theory that I have for that as well, and that is Nancy is coming out that front door. So
she is coming out the front door. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
We just need a few more pieces, I think, to make this make sense.
So I want to show you the video that you're talking about here.
Let's watch this for a second because.
And you make a good point.
Hold on.
See how flat his head is.
So, whoops. Oh, sorry, I just hit the wrong button. Hit it again.
All right. So
when I go.
So he can't be doing 2 things at the same time, guys. He's either got to be making that pounding noise. I wish I could walk to my front door. I have that exact same metal door. So whenever I tell people it looks like he's knocking and then grabbing the doorknob, they say, oh no, but it looks like he's grabbing the camera. You can't be grabbing the camera at the same time you're doing that. The camera's not that big. So when his hand's going up there like that and the other one's reaching down, it's either or. He's either grabbing the camera from the top or he's grabbing the camera from the bottom. He's hitting the door and pulling the thing off so they can let him in. It can't be both. It can't be. It's impossible. Let's watch it. It's impossible. I think he's like, let me in, dude. That I'm telling you, if you guys have a metal door, you know the sound doesn't take much to make it pound and be like, dude, somebody's here.
To pause it.
Hold on.
To the camera. That's why in all the pictures you see that the perp's pupils are white. So when you invert that, it becomes black. And it's way more easy to see exactly what this guy is looking at. And that particular picture that you have up, many people have generated colorful AI depictions of this, right? To try to figure out his race, to try to figure out whatever's, but their eyes, even AI thinks this guy is looking at the door, but it's just a simple inversion of the colors. And you realize he's looking right at that camera, meaning his whole attention is on that camera, because how can it not be? That thing is glowing in that darkness. So that move where he's trying to, looks like he's going to knock on the door.
See,
and then it looks like, oh, wait a minute, there's a camera. No, there's no way. He's already known that camera's been there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, man, that knock, and she had a dog, right? If you even, if you even come in through my gate, they tell, the dogs tell. If Mama Pearl even gets near our house, without us knowing, Mom, how do the dogs tell? The dogs tell. But if Mama Pearl was to come up to the door and even touch that black door, the dogs would be going crazy. All right. They're loud. And I absolutely think that too. The only thing that could mean is nobody's going to sit there and be like, let's film this diversion. I'm going to film this diversion from this camera that they may never see. Not likely. Not likely at all. Okay, let's keep going.
Well, I can't explain it truly, but.
Well, I think you pointed that out because the moment he hits the porch.
Okay.
Josh, have you seen this video yet?
No, I have not.
We're going to have to go. You're going to have to go over there and check it out because first of all, what's the name of the video? I forget which one it was.
It's inverted.
Oh,
the thumbnail is called inverted. The things that I realized, the title is the things that I've realized watching the video inverted, something like that. But it's pretty obvious which video it is. Yeah.
Okay. And so, Josh, what happens is the moment he hits the porch, Monk has been able to isolate his pupils, the suspect's pupils. And you can clearly see that as he's walking even to the left, he's looking to the right.
Yeah.
In this video.
It's
like the creepiest thing because it changes the thought process of this guy on the porch. And it makes you think, wait a minute, that this, is this a game here? And it's a piece of the puzzle because I've always asked the question, and I'm going to show you one picture. I've always asked the question, when he's looking to the left and then he goes, grabs the weeds.
Look at the kitty cat came out.
That cat scared me.
Oh. Why didn't he just grab the Christmas wreath hanging on the porch?
Right. It's right there, guys. It's right there. He said he comes all over here. We get to see his stance. Again, this is still there, even though he had saliva mixed with that, touching that, thrown on that, it's still all sitting there. But there's that metal door, and it's right by, like just a little bit above where the camera is. And I just can't see any. I really don't think that this was to create a diversion tactic on purpose. I think he went up, he didn't know exactly which way to go in because there's more than one people or person, or maybe they had already gone back there and opened it. And he's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you you know what I mean? He's not going to talk, but why aren't you letting me in? And while I'm at it, let me take this camera down. I don't think it was a specific diversion. I just don't think they're that smart.
The left. Why do you have to reach over and grab the weeds?
Right.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was thinking about that too, but so there is an actual, there is a tool, like a release tool for Nest cameras.
I know.
And he may have been trying to use a branch to like a stick from under there because you have to go underneath it with the little key tool. And it's a quick release type thing. Now you can pull it off. And I think maybe either he was trying to cover it or maybe he was trying to, put the stick up there and get it out.
So.
But whatever he didn't work. And then.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah. We also have to remember, Josh, he knows the camera's there. If he's going to come back again, from the previous night, he would have brought maybe a screwdriver or something, I feel.
And not only does he know the camera's there, but he's gone back there. He's gone there before, or somebody's gone there before. He saw it right away. There was a wreath right there. And you're right, Mab. A good forensic team would have taken the damn tile and the rug. And not just that, Mab. They would have taken the shrubbery. Monk is not live right now. I wouldn't play his live, but he is live on Interview Room, and they're way ahead of us. So if you want to go watch that, head straight over to Interview Room and you can catch up with them in real time. All right.
So he knows it's there. That's the problem. That's why it's a paradox.
But I don't know if they thought that they were going to have to go out the front. And
right.
You go around the front, get rid of the camera out there. He could have very well been aware of the camera. They just may not have planned to go out the front. So that.
Oh, look, I see Nina Drew in the chat. Nina Drew, shout out to you. The reason that he would have gone on the porch was because he was getting there and he needed to get in. It looks like he grabbed it kind of looked like he grabbed for the doorknob. It wasn't unlocked. So he did this and then he covered it. But you clearly heard Savannah say that Annie told her the back doors were propped open. We never heard this from FBI or Sheriff Nanos, because Sheriff Nanos just goes in circles, right? So maybe the first time he went to the door, it was just him checking it out. But I really don't think this was just like a, I don't think it was just like some half measured, or even this full, okay, you go there, I go here. When they pull the cameras at some point, they're going to see me with the gun flopping and nah, that didn't happen.
They say, hey, you go around the front, get the camera out of there because whoever it is may have already surveilled the place. They surveyed it. And,
OG Nanny, what's up?
Yeah, I had one theory that went exactly that route, and I would actually like to hear how you think that would have went down, if you don't mind.
I could. That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Both of you. I'd love to hear theories. I could listen all day. Yeah.
Josh, you start.
Well, basically, I think that they had planned on, and you're just asking what happened and why they ended up doing what they did.
I just want to hear his theory, and then class will be dismissed. There's 200. It's 222 right now. Say a prayer that this case does get solved and Nancy Guthrie is brought home, you guys. All right, because that's the bottom line of this, is to not let this case go dead and bring her home. OG Nanny, what's up? Okay, don't know all about the mess. Yeah, sheriff's been chasing his own tail and everybody else. But I do like the fact that these guys are getting into the weeds because really we have nothing else. So theories are the only things. Once we show the facts, all we have left to do is say what the theory is because none of us have anything else up on it, right? All right. Golden Hen just rolled in. Thank you so much for the $1.99 towards our goal. Yeah, you can only say so many facts that you're given, and then that's it. All right, shout out to you, Golden Hen. I hope that you go back on the rewatch crew because this is a really good, thought-provoking episode.
I think that they had planned to go through the back, take her out the back. Something went wrong. She became incapacitated, or she recognized who was doing this, and they couldn't leave her. And
oh wow,
I think that obviously she was bleeding at some point. So they had to go through the front. They had the back propped open. Now, last time I was talking about this, people were saying, well, nobody was barking. The dog wasn't barking. It was just acting weird. I've heard the dog was barking, the next door neighbor's dog. And that could have been a deterrent for the back as well. Or maybe they just really, really needed to hurry up the process and get out the front. That's why they sent the backpack guy, porch guy, as he's being called, to the front because they knew there was a camera out there. And that's why they were going to go through the back. That's why the doors were propped open, and they were propped open when I believe everybody showed up. So I think it didn't go exactly as planned, but I think that they were very aware that there was a camera out front, and I think that they were aware of its capabilities, which made.
I still don't think that they had this planned out well whatsoever. Okay, there's a lot of fumbling in this. And although I do agree with Josh quite a bit, I've said that every single time. If those back doors were propped open, they were going to take her out of the back where it was darker. You can go through the fence and kind of sneak off. Now you're bringing this 84-year-old woman through the front porch where there's more visibility because there's light behind it. There's light on the porch as we see. But here's the reason. Because she became incapacitated, it was probably hard to get her to, or they'd have to carry her. We don't know who they or how many. That back is far. When you look at those back doors, there's a lot of area. If you can't walk to a mailbox, how are you going to, after being bitch slapped, and excuse my language, but I call it bitch slapping when someone just backhands you or makes you bleed. It's going to be really difficult to get her from that backyard all the way around to the vehicle rather than straight shot from the door. We see the drops and then they disappear. But he's right. One thing Josh did say is we don't know what time exactly that was. So they could have already been in the house and told his dumb ass, that guy in the porch, go around and take that camera off. We can't bring her out through the back with the camera because they're going to see how many, they're going to see the car, etc. All right, so we're working stuff out. Mama Sage, thank you so much for the $1.99 towards our goal. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some red herrings, and I think there's a lot of things, but red herrings are a possibility.
Makes me wonder how, if they knew that maybe that it wasn't being used to the capacity that it could be, that would be inside information, and that makes me question things too. So
Right. Yeah.
We don't know about the DNA.
How about you, Chris? How would you see that going down?
9 months. Thank
Well,
you.
a couple of things.
Justice for
First of all,
Nancy. Oh, I wanted you guys to see this.
you have
Hold
to
on.
take into
Let me
consideration,
remove this for a second so you can see
which
that.
we talk about all the time over here. What kind of victim risk is she in? Right. That's
Yeah, I want to see what their take is on this, because I mean, 120 seconds technically enough, but let's hear what they have to say on the timeline.
it's always the first question that a suspect asks. How am I going to accomplish this crime
Hey,
effectively
Jed.
without putting myself at risk? That's what suspects do. I've interviewed tens of thousands of them. So you have to look through the lens of how does that individual lower their risk? Okay. Everything that the suspect did, if the 11th and the 24th are in play, that is a high risk activity, because they're exposing themselves to not only neighborhood cameras one time, but multiple times. Who would do that is the first question. And if in fact that's what happened, then that tells us a little bit about the intellectual level of this person, or that person blends into the neighborhood and nobody would think anything of it. Okay. If you woke up at the next morning.
Well, guys, I mean, it sounds like, again, we don't know much. Sheriff Nanos is on his way out. He botched it in the beginning. FBI has no reason to tell us a damn thing. And I'd rather them not. I'd rather them just tell us they have somebody in custody that they're questioning, and they're seriously looking at an area where Nancy's body is, what have you. All right. But we got to remember, it's like we're starting all over right now, because Nanos is about to get the boot. And in my professional opinion, and I'm saying my professional opinion because I have none, he straight up cock blocked the FBI. Straight up, he purposely cock blocked the FBI with that DNA that was in the house. Now, remember, the DNA in the house was mostly, not all, mostly people that should have been there, which we've thought all along that it's somebody that should have been there or that had been there. But there is DNA that's foreign and nobody knows who or where it came from. All right. Jay, email, please. My email is running under. It's right here. Thank you, Synth. All right, let's continue.
Morning at 8 a.m. and you look on your phone and you had a Ring camera activation
right there,
and you go, oh, it's Frank walking his dog. Okay. Nobody would think anything of that. Now, if you see Frank at 3 o'clock in the morning around this time of the year, where it's 30 degrees out, it is the desert, and people forget that the desert gets very cold. And Frank's all dressed up with the Ralph Crandom outfit, like Dr. Mercado describes him, okay, with the old spaghetti strainer on the head and, et cetera. But in this case, he's got the thick gloves, multiple, layers of clothing, et cetera. Again, the neighbor would go, oh, it's Ralph. No big deal. So that's the first thing we have to consider. Now, the second thing then is we have to weigh into, what's the environment, situation, circumstance that the victim is in. Well, she's 84. She's in her house. She's in her bedroom, and she's sound asleep. All low risk. Everything is low risk. So that tells us then that the perpetrator has a familiarity either with the house and or the victim or the circle around that victim. Friends, families, relationships, acquaintances, etc.
Now, I'm sure we all have been saying that the whole time, except for Sheriff Nanos, who decided to clear all family members. Even the family members that are people of interest, let's just clear them, which is not. They're not. Once he gets the boot, they're going to have to do this either all over or make a statement and say, hey, whatever damage Nanos has done at this point, we're going to try to fix. Golden Hen says, hi, Jay. Hi, all. I think porch guy with the backpack was filled with the cleaner. Perp's already in the house, but we have back doors. Porch guy, decoy, while removing poor Nancy. I agree. And I can fill in. I agree with you. And I would fill in the blanks by saying the porch guy is a decoy, but they also sent him to get that camera down, because now they got to take Nancy through the front door, not the back. She's already bleeding. She's fighting back. They didn't expect that. She's a feisty 84-year-old, and she's not having it. And there's no way they're going to be able to carry her from the back all the way around until get the car. Much easier to go straight from the front door. And we see when the droplets stop. So that's my theory on that. All right, let's continue.
And they were comfortable enough to come back multiple times. And to your point, Monks, to get various photographs of themselves. One,
sorry, guys.
Without the gun, without the backpack, and then the other that we know of on the porch. They weren't worried about that. They weren't concerned about that in any way, shape, or form. So this is somebody who is extremely comfortable and has probably been to that house multiple times. And this is why this timeline, in my mind, is critical.
Yes,
because we have data points. And the first thing I pointed out months ago was we're missing data points for the next morning when the family goes over to discover Nancy missing. Okay. Now they may have them, but they may not line up with the initial story. And so that's a red flag, because they made it a point to tell the public, the sheriff did in a press conference, that at 9:48 a garage door opened, and at 9:50
they did make it a point to give us minute by minute plays. However, when we start to get into the timeline, they leave everything out that has to do with Annie and Tommaso. Okay, they didn't tell us how it took them 51 minutes to call 911. What do you think she was playing hide and seek in the garage? Or was she hiding behind a cactus? Mom, where are you? Are you behind that cactus over there? Oh, she's in the garage. I bet she's hiding under the bed from us. No, Annie clearly said that the back doors were propped open when they got there. She didn't say anything about the blood. A story is right. You're right. A story is what it is. But also, they didn't call Savannah for what? Almost 3 hours? They had already waited almost an hour to call 911. Then 2 hours later, at around noon, they call Savannah. And the first thing Savannah says is everything okay? Like she's not used to getting a phone call from her sister in the middle of a day on a Sunday, or any day for that matter. All right? Yes, 911 call, time, no, nothing's included in that. And Annie and Tommaso are cleared by Barney Fife.
Garage door closed. Okay. So then the narrative changes the next morning. The garage door, we're to believe, is no longer in play as a point of entry into Nancy Guthrie's home, at least for the family. So this is where what we would call victimology comes in. It's extremely important to get what they call patterns of life. How does the family typically get into the house when they come visit Nancy? Does she meet them at the door, in the front door? If so, how's that work? Does she?
We're going to listen to this, and it's fantastic. It's nothing I can answer, but they're fantastic questions that FBI should be talking to the family about. All right. I believe they were arguing with the pervs on the phone, decided to act out and call 911. Interesting.
Does she open the garage door, etc.? Do they have apps on their phone that can open the garage doors? Do they have clues? Do they have keys? All of those things. And who has access to all of those items? Does
the family is Annie and Tommaso.
Does he reach over the gate? How's he get in? Those kind of things. So that's when you start listening very carefully.
I don't know, man.
To the conversation when the first officer gets on the scene that morning, because the entire narrative at this point has been through Annie and the son-in-law.
And the son-in-law,
whether the public wants to embrace that or not.
No, we don't want to embrace it, and that's why every single clickbait channel says what Every clickbait channel says Annie and Tommaso are arrested. All right. Now you guys can go continue. Here's the link. I don't like playing other people's stuff, especially when they're live, not at the same time. So they're still going. They're literally still going and talking. Maybe they ended by now. But you got another 50 minutes over there. 50 minutes. What meant to say right here with the interview room. Okay, you can go over there and speculate with them and see what they have to say. A lot of the same things we're kicking around. And yeah, this is what we're left with at this point. So today, guys, we talked about Nancy Guthrie case and the fake ransom person, Derek Kella. He's going on trial for this unless they take a deal, unless he tells them something more, unless he says, hey, guys, I got to tell you, these people are involved and they're the ones that told me to send a text, whatever. We just don't know. It doesn't make sense. You know why it doesn't make sense, Flojo? Because it was only told by Annie and Tommaso, the two people that aren't talking. One particular that's not talking and went off to the Olympics in the middle of this. The last person to see Nancy alive just took off. He covered his face and bailed out of the country, shaved his beard down, came back with a little shorter with a swag now, right? That's why the timeline doesn't make sense, because it's coming from people that are closest to Nancy, which are the people that probably, or I should say the probability is a lot higher that they did this. All right. They say the back doors were propped open, but they ever mentioned if they haven't never mentioned anything, Wanda, and that's why this hasn't made any sense. They didn't say to Savannah, hey, Savannah, the back doors were propped open. I'm really nervous about this. Maybe we should go check in the back. But there's blood on the front porch and nothing about any of that. After they took almost an hour to call 911 and 2 more hours to call Savannah with the purse strings. The camera's disconnecting, then the camera detecting a person is bass. Yeah, exactly. It is. And we don't know the times. That's the bottom line. So anyhow, I can go on all night, but I won't. You've got Flojo TV. You've got Mr. Mavster in the house. You've got everybody else. So we're 2 hours and 39 minutes in. I thank you guys for sticking this through with me, even when we fell off. We need record. There's none of that. We can go on for 2 more hours saying, what about this? What about that? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why are they not using? Why did Nanos turn away twice now? The what is it, Texas or the EquiSearch or whatever? Why did they do that? If they had nothing to do with it, then FBI has to know by now that the internet is single-handedly destroying their reputation. You think they want to jump on that for safety? Well, they did. FBI isn't going to give us an update about that. That was Sheriff Nanos' job, and he didn't do it well. Instead, he cleared everybody. There's a bunch of DNA in the house, guys, but it's all where it belongs. Don't worry. What an idiot. All right, well, let's hope that he gets out. If you guys came in late, please go back to the beginning and watch how bad Nanos botched his questionnaire, how much he lied, and the reason he's not going to, so he lied, and the reason he's, we don't know if he's getting kicked out yet or not, but he didn't perjure himself because those questions that he sent back to law enforcement, he wasn't under oath. The whole point was to do it under oath, and he didn't. So everything about him sucks. He failed. Hype, replay, comment, share. Love you guys, and thank you. Yeah, the court could get involved, and that's what's going to happen next, Kevin. All right, guys. If you missed it, go back, rewatch. Love you. I will be back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night. Love you all, and thank you. Good night.
guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?